Chapter 2673. Very soon, Huolan Duo also came over, standing by Mo Qingyun's side. Looking at Mo Qingyun's group of four in front of him, Wu Tuo's expression became ugly, fear welling up in his eyes. He actually did not detect Mo Qingyun's sword at all just now. This seriously frightened him quite a bit. This way, with Huolan and the others entangled him, wouldn't Mo Qingyun be able to casually injure him? The more Wu Tuo thought, the more alarmed he became, and the more cowardly he became. He did not dare to fight with Mo Qingyun's group again. This current situation could be said to be extremely disadvantageous to the current him. I was careless today, letting you get away with a lucky sneak attack. Next time, I won't give you another chance. Wu Tuo went through a mental struggle. In the end, he chose to retreat first and settle the score with Mo Qingyun in the future. He had just taken over a body and reincarnated. His cultivation had yet to recover to its peak. He was at a huge disadvantage in a desperate battle. When his cultivation recovered to its peak, and he chased after Mo Qingyun again, even if Huolan Duo stopped him, it would be useless. Oof. Chasing me for so long, you want to leave so easily? Looking at Wu Tuo, who was preparing to leave, Mo Qingyun's expression turned cold. He raised his hand and pointed at him. With a wave of Mo Qingyun's finger, a terrifying power of spatial law was released from his finger. Immediately, Wu Tuo's body was overbearingly crushed and deformed under a kind of power. Poor work. As his body was crushed and deformed, Wu Tuo spat out a mouthful of blood, his complexion becoming as pale as paper. Seeing this scene, Huolan and the others' expressions trembled, their gazes looking at Mo Qingyun in shock. They did not think that Mo Qingyun's use of spatial law actually reached such a level. Spatial expansion. Enduring the crushing power of spatial law, Wu Tuo immediately used spatial expansion to offset the spatial pressure on him. As Wu Tuo released spatial law, the spatial pressure he suffered immediately received a huge relief. Spatial shackle. After neutralizing Mo Qingyun's spatial attack, Wu Tuo immediately struck out with his palm, imprisoning the space around Mo Qingyun and the others. After sealing the space around Mo Qingyun and the others, Wu Tuo's figure flashed and disappeared from Mo Qingyun's sight. Seeing that the space around them had been sealed, Huolan immediately destroyed the space around them and rescued them. Everyone, you risked your lives to protect me. I will remember this favor. After repelling Wu Tuo, Mo Qingyun showed a grateful expression and cupped his hands towards Huolan and the others. No need to be so courteous. This is what we should do. In response to Mo Qingyun's gratitude, Huodeng smiled faintly and waved his hand. However, cooperating with you is really not easy. What do you intend to exchange the meteorite flame for? In order to prevent any unexpected changes, Huolan did not want to waste any time. She directly asked Mo Qingyun. Hearing Huolan's words, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and shook his head. He took out the meteorite flame and said, "Senior, as thanks for risking your lives to protect me, I will directly give the meteorite flame to you." To Mo Qingyun, he had already cultivated the second layer of the nine-direction divine ox sword technique. The meteorite flame was no longer of much use to him. It would be better to give it to Huolan. He could even earn her favor. After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he handed the meteorite flame to Huolan. This, seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, even with Huolan's mental fortitude, she could not help but feel excited. She knew very well how precious the meteorite flame was. She had never imagined that Mo Qingyun would directly give it to her. All right, my sacred fire lotus cult owes you a favor. If you need anything in the future, feel free to tell me. Huolan hesitated for a while before accepting the meteorite flame and making a promise to Mo Qingyun. The meteorite flame was very useful to her. Now is not the time to be pretentious. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Kai Shang, who was at the side, showed some admiration. He knew that if he were in Mo Qingyun's position, he would not be willing to give away a piece of the meteorite flame. After expressing his gratitude to Huolan, Mo Qingyun turned his head to Kai Shang and said, "Senior, I do not have anything else to give you. Just consider it as me owing you a favor." When he heard Mo Qingyun's promise, Kai Shang immediately smiled kindly. He was very satisfied with this reward. Based on Mo Qingyun's performance, Kai Shang could almost predict what Mo Qingyun would achieve in the future. The value of a promise from such a person was immeasurable. It was not something that ordinary treasures could compare to. Kai Shang smiled faintly and said, "Little friend, you are too polite. Speaking of which, I am ashamed. I helped you because of the reward that Xiaolan promised. I don't care about that. I know that. You risked your life to protect me just now." Mo Qingyun did not mind Kai Shang's explanation at all. He replied solemnly. Seeing Mo Qingyun say this, Kai Shang did not say anything else. His evaluation of Mo Qingyun rose greatly. "Little friend Mo, what are your plans after this?" After exchanging a few words with Mo Qingyun, Huolan showed an inquiring expression, asking for Mo Qingyun's opinion. When he heard Huolan's question, Mo Qingyun thought for a while and said, "I have already achieved my objective in coming to the Huofan galaxy. It is time for me to return to the sect." "That is a pity. I originally wanted to invite you to the Sacred Fire Lotus cult." When she heard Mo Qingyun's thoughts, Huolan showed a regretful expression, showing some disappointment. There will be plenty of opportunities in the future. Compared to Huolan's disappointment, Mo Qingyun was very calm. He comforted Huolan and said, "In that case, let's part ways here." After bidding farewell to Huolan, Mo Qingyun took out a jade slip and handed it to Kai Shang. He said, "Senior, this is my sole jade slip. If you need me in the future, you can use it to contact me." "Okay." Seeing Mo Qingyun hand over the jade slip, Kai Shang happily accepted it. After that, Mo Qingyun and the others exchanged a few more words before he turned to leave. "Mr. Mo, please wait a moment." Just as Mo Qingyun turned around, Yao Yu suddenly called out to him and said, "I want to go out and train. Are you willing to guide me?" Seeing Yao Yu's action, Huolan nodded in admiration. Yao Yu was very clever. If she went out with Mo Qingyun, her relationship with Mo Qingyun would definitely improve greatly. Thinking of this, Huolan looked at Mo Qingyun nervously like Yao Yu. "Then let's go." Hearing Yao Yu's request, Mo Qingyun hesitated for a moment before agreeing to her request. Mo Qingyun agreed to Yao Yu's request because he had his own plans. Yao Yu's strength was not weak, especially her bloodline mystique. It was very powerful. With her by his side, it would be very useful when dealing with the divine wood royal family. "Grand Supreme Elder, we will be leaving." Seeing Mo Qingyun agree to her request, Yao Yu's face immediately lit up. She waved goodbye to Huolan. In response to Yao Yu's farewell, Huolan smiled faintly and nodded. She said, "You don't have to worry about Li Qiu's injuries. I will focus on healing her." Chapter 2674. After bidding farewell to Huolan and the others, Mo Qingyun took out the Black Demon flying ship and returned to the Wood Source Galaxy. After entering the Black Demon flying ship, Yao Yu smiled at Mo Qingyun and said, "Give me a map. I will control the flying ship while you continue to cultivate." "Okay." In response to Yao Yu's request, Mo Qingyun hesitated for a moment before taking out a map and handing it to her. After receiving the map from Mo Qingyun, Yao Yu controlled the flying ship and rushed towards the Wood Source Galaxy. This guy is actually from the Wood Source Galaxy. However, there doesn't seem to be anyone as monstrous as him in the Wood Source Galaxy. After learning about Mo Qingyun's background, Yao Yu's face was filled with shock and doubt. Based on her understanding of the Wood Source Galaxy, there was no one who could compare with Mo Qingyun among the geniuses in the Wood Source Galaxy. Although she was curious, seeing that Mo Qingyun didn't say anything, Yao Yu didn't ask. Mo Qingyun didn't know what Yao Yu was thinking. He took out the map and handed it to Yao Yu before he immersed himself in cultivation. Because of Wu Tuo, I didn't have time to observe the second superpower of the divine, Sword of Nine Bulls. Mo Qingyun was filled with anticipation as he thought about it. He He started to look at the second superpower of the divine, sword of nine bulls. After a short while, Mo Qingyun looked at the divine sword of nine bulls. His face was filled with shock. He was shocked to find that the second superpower of the divine sword of nine bulls could break the law of space. As expected of the second superpower, it is indeed stronger than the first superpower. After learning about the divine sword of nine bulls, Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised. He said, "If that's the case, I won't have to be afraid, even if I face a universe realm expert." The strength of a universe realm expert was their control over the law of space. However, Mo Qingyun could control the divine sword of nine bulls and ignore the law of space. Like before, the threat that universe realm experts posed to him was naturally reduced to the lowest. Seeing the power of the second ability of the nine-bull divine sword, Mo Qingyun revealed a satisfied smile and said, "Rishu, it seems that spending a huge amount of effort to collect the 100-million-year-old flame crystals, the galaxy meteor flame, and the star nest fire is still very worthwhile." While Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised, a cold expression appeared on his face, and a murderous intent appeared. Wu Tuo had chased him for so long. The next time he met Wu Tuo, he would settle the score. Right, if I were to comprehend a type of spatial law, wouldn't that be equivalent to having an additional ability? As soon as this thought appeared in his mind, Mo Qingyun impatiently continued to comprehend the law of space. Previously, because he had no direction, Mo Qingyun's mind was at a loss when he tried to comprehend the laws of space. Now that he had activated the spatial door, his understanding of the law of space had increased by several levels. The difficulty of comprehending the laws of space would be greatly reduced. The use of spatial compression is the most frequent. Let's try to comprehend spatial compression first. Mo Qingyun's mind thought, and he had a clear direction in comprehending the laws of space. Following that, Mo Qingyun threw himself into cultivation, wholeheartedly comprehending spatial compression. Following Mo Qingyun's comprehension, a faintly discernible law of space emitted from his body. The power of the laws of space. He's comprehending the laws of space again. Sensing the power of laws on Mo Qingyun's body, Yao Yu's pretty face trembled, her beautiful eyes filled with shock. She really did not expect that Mo Qingyun was actually comprehending the laws of space again. More importantly, looking at Mo Qingyun's performance, it seemed like he was about to succeed in comprehending the laws of space. While Yao Yu was shocked, she realized that something was wrong and said in surprise, "No, the law of space he used before seemed to be bestowed by some kind of magical ability. This law of space he's using now seems to be what he truly comprehended." This discovery really frightened Yao Yu, and she could not calm down for a long time. A magical ability bestowed a law of space, and she comprehended another law of space. Wouldn't that mean that Mo Qingyun would always have one more law of space than others? An additional law of space was too frightening an advantage. When experts fought, a little detail would determine the outcome of the battle. Moreover, Mo Qingyun had one more law of space than others of the same cultivation level. This guy is too monstrous. He's simply a freak. The more Yao Yu thought about it, the more shocked she was. She developed a strong sense of reverence for Mo Qingyun's talent. Fortunately, Mo Qingyun was not an enemy of the sacred fire lotus cult. Otherwise, they would have a headache. While Yao Yu was rejoicing, she was also worried for the Azure Sea Dragon Palace. An enemy like Mo Qingyun was too terrifying. Next, Yao Yu controlled the flying boat to hurry on the journey, while observing Mo Qingyun's situation. About 10 days later, Yao Yu controlled the black flying boat and arrived in front of the mountain gate of the Divine Heavenly Bull sect. Looking at the Divine Heavenly Bull sect in front of her, Yao Yu frowned and had a strong sense of doubt. The Divine Heavenly Bull sect's strength can only be considered decent in the Wood Source Galaxy. I didn't expect to have such a monstrous talent like Mo Qingyun. Yao Yu cursed in her heart. She then sent a message to Mo Qingyun, telling him that they had arrived at the Divine Heavenly Bull sect. Hearing Yao Yu shout, Mo Qingyun stopped cultivating. A satisfied smile appeared on his face as he said, "Although I haven't completely comprehended it, I can still barely use it. It could be considered another trump card." Mo Qingyun muttered to himself. He walked out of the black demonic flying boat and put it away. "Let's go in." After instructing Yao Yu, Mo Qingyun flew into the divine heavenly bull sect. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Yao Yu didn't say anything and silently followed behind Mo Qingyun. Along the way, the disciples of the divine heavenly bull sect respectfully bowed to Mo Qingyun. Seeing this scene, Yao Yu roughly knew Mo Qingyun's position in the divine heavenly bull sect. Perhaps even some ordinary elders could not be mentioned in the same breath as Mo Qingyun. Not long after, when Mo Qingyun and Yao Yu were rushing, Guangping and the rest came up to them. It must be some disciples who saw Mo Qingyun return and reported to Guangping and the rest. "Greetings to the sect master and elders." Seeing Guangping and the others coming to greet him, Mo Qingyun bowed respectfully to them. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Guangping immediately waved his hand and said, "No need to be so polite. Did your trip to the Huafan galaxy go smoothly?" "Very smoothly." Hearing Guangping's question, Mo Qingyun replied with a faint smile and said, "Next, we will make some preparations, and we can truly destroy the divine Wood royal family." Destroy the divine Wood royal family. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Yao Yu was so frightened that her expression trembled. She felt a sense of fear towards Mo Qingyun. Since she knew about the divine heavenly bull sect, she naturally knew about the divine Wood royal family and the difference in strength between the two. She didn't expect Mo Qingyun to lead the divine heavenly bull sect to destroy the divine Wood royal family. Chapter 2675. This lady is... After chatting with Mo Qingyun for a while, Guangping looked at Yu Yao and asked curiously. Hearing Guangping's question, Mo Qingyun introduced Yu Yao to everyone. "This is Miss Yu Yao from the Sacred Fire Lotus Cult of the Huafan Galaxy. She is the saintess of the Sacred Fire Lotus Cult." The saintess of the Sacred Fire Lotus Cult. Hearing Mo Qingyun's introduction, Guangping and the rest were shocked. They looked at Yu Yao in a different light. Evidently, they had long heard of the Holy Fire Lotus Cult. Most importantly, the saintess of the Sacred Fire Lotus Cult was not simple. If nothing went wrong, the future leader of the Sacred Fire Lotus Cult would be this young lady. So it is the saintess of the Sacred Fire Lotus Cult. "We have neglected you. Please forgive us." After knowing Yu Yao's identity, Guangping and the rest's attitude towards her changed drastically. The Sacred Fire Lotus Cult was a quasi-3-star force and was much stronger than the Heavenly Bull Divine Sect. Therefore, Yu Yao's identity as the saintess of the Sacred Fire Lotus Cult was not much weaker than theirs. Therefore, they should treat her well. "I'm just a junior. Seniors, please don't stand on ceremony with me." Yu Yao smiled humbly at Guangping and the rest's enthusiasm. She then looked at Mo Qingyun and said, "Also, I am just Mr. Mo's follower now. If you treat me like this and make Mr. Mo unhappy, it would not be good if he punished me." Hearing Yu Yao's words, Mo Qingyun was speechless. This was a great injustice. However, he did not explain. He just smiled faintly. However, Mo Qingyun's smile had a different meaning in the eyes of Guangping and the rest. In their opinion, Mo Qingyun's reaction meant that he had acknowledged Yu Yao's words. After realizing this, Guangping and the rest were impressed by Mo Qingyun. How could he treat the saintess of the Sacred Fire Lotus Cult as a follower? This was too domineering. "Don't just stand here. Let's talk inside." Although Guangping and the others were shocked, they did not stand there stupidly. They immediately invited Yu Yao into the inner hall. They weren't Mo Qingyun and didn't take Yao Yu seriously. With Guangping and the others leading the way, they arrived at the great meeting hall. In the conference hall, "Qingyun, do you have any good suggestions to deal with the destruction of the divine Wood Imperial family?" Guangping sat at the front of the conference hall and asked Qingyun about his plans with a curious expression. Mo Qingyun pondered for a moment when he heard Guangping's question. He said, The divine Wood Imperial family has a deep foundation and many supporters. If we directly clash with them, the divine Heavenly Ox sect will suffer huge losses. We need to find some helpers. Find some helpers? Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Guangping's people were puzzled. They didn't understand what Mo Qingyun meant. Then, they looked at Yao Yu, wondering if the Holy Fire Lotus Church had come to help. However, the Holy Fire Lotus Church was located in the Huofan Galaxy. It wouldn't be easy for them to send people to the Divine Wood Continent. Seeing Guangping and the others looking at Yao Yu, Mo Qingyun guessed their thoughts and said, "You guessed right. The Holy Fire Lotus Church has indeed sent helpers. The helper they sent is Miss Yao Yu." Me? Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Yao Yu was stunned and couldn't help but be dumbfounded. Since when did the Holy Fire Lotus Church send her to help the divine Heavenly Ox sect destroy the divine Wood Imperial family? Not only was Yao Yu dumbfounded, but even Guangping and the others were stunned. Although Yao Yu's strength wasn't weak, she was considered a high-end combat force. What the divine Heavenly Ox sect lacked now was low-end combat force. In fact, in terms of high-end combat force, the divine Heavenly Ox sect wasn't weaker than the divine Wood Imperial family. Now, the main problem for them was to destroy the divine Wood Imperial family and arrange for people to take over the divine Wood continent. If they didn't have enough people, the divine Wood Imperial family would fall and the divine Wood continent would fall into chaos. Various forces would jump out and fight for the divine Wood Imperial family's resource lands. Faced with such a situation, the divine Heavenly Ox sect couldn't possibly wipe them all out. Everyone, don't worry. I have already made arrangements for this. I was just joking. Looking at the solemn expressions of Guangping and the others, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and explained to them. He then said, "Now, I want you to meet someone. When you see her, you will naturally understand my intentions." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Guangping and the others were curious. They wanted to know who Mo Qingyun was referring to. Under everyone's gaze, a beautiful figure appeared out of thin air, shocking Guangping and the others. Before they could recover from their shock, the shock in their hearts grew even stronger when they saw the figure clearly. Princess Zishu, you're still alive. Rumor has it that the Emperor used the law of space to send you away. It seems like it's true. All these years, Wang Xiao has searched the entire Wood Source Galaxy, but couldn't find you. I didn't expect you to be with Qingyun. So, Qingyun came to the Wood Source Galaxy because of you. Looking at Wang Zishu in front of them, Guangping and the others were still in shock. They finally understood why a monster like Mo Qingyun would come to the Wood Source Galaxy. At the same time, they were also amazed by how lucky Princess Zishu was to be able to find a protector like Mo Qingyun. If she had not met Mo Qingyun, it would not have been easy for Wang Zishu to restore her country. Although Wang Zishu's cultivation had reached the peak of the Nebula realm at her age, she was already very talented. However, with her cultivation, there was still a huge gap between her and the entire Divine Wood royal family. "Greetings, Princess Zishu." Guangping and the others immediately bowed when they recognized Wang Zishu. In their opinion, supporting Wang Zishu to restore her country was the wisest choice. With Mo Qingyun's means, it was inevitable that he would destroy the Divine Wood royal family. If they supported Wang Zishu now, they would be founding elders in the future. This investment was worth it. Moreover, there was an irreconcilable hatred between them and the Divine Wood royal family. It turns out that he came to the Wood Source Galaxy for this lady. Looking at Wang Zishu in front of her, Yao Yu could not help but feel a little jealous. She could feel how blessed Mo Qingyun was to sacrifice so much for Zishu. "Seniors, you don't have to be so polite." Wang Zishu smiled calmly when she saw the actions of Guangping and the others. She waved her hand at them and said, "I'm no longer a princess. I'm just a junior. Just treat me as a disciple." Hearing Wang Zishu's words, Guangping and the others stood up and nodded at Wang Zishu. Of course, in their hearts, they did not treat Wang Zishu as a disciple. They knew very well that with Mo Qingyun's help, Wang Zishu would be able to restore her country soon. Since Princess Zishu is here, we can use the reason of crusading against the rebels. Guang Ping and the others were quick-witted. When they saw Zishu, they thought of a reason to crusade against the divine Wood royal family. Chapter 2676. Although Zishu is here, we still have to figure out the situation of the divine Wood imperial court before we make a move. After telling everyone his thoughts, Mo Qingyun did not decide to make a move immediately. Instead, he prepared to analyze the enemy's situation. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Guang Ping frowned and a look of worry appeared on his face. Obviously, he did not know much about the situation of the divine Wood imperial court. This was not his fault. If it were not for Mo Qingyun's appearance, he would not have thought of destroying the divine Wood imperial court. Mo Qingyun did not care about Guang Ping's reaction. He smiled faintly and said, "If that's the case, I'll personally make a trip to the divine Wood imperial court and figure out the situation there. At the same time, I'll carry out a decapitation operation." Qingyun, there are many powerhouses in the divine Wood imperial court. I'm afraid it will be dangerous for you to go alone. Hearing Mo Qingyun's thoughts, Guang Ping's expression immediately tensed up, and he reminded Mo Qingyun with a worried expression. Mo Qingyun did not care about Guang Ping's worries. He smiled and said, "Sect Master, don't worry about this. Although I don't have much confidence in destroying the divine Wood imperial court with my strength alone, if I want to protect myself, there won't be any problems." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Guang Ping did not try to persuade Mo Qingyun any further. He only reminded Mo Qingyun again. "Let's go." After calling out to Wang Zishu and Zishu, Mo Qingyun walked out of the hall. Hearing Mo Qingyun's call, Wang Zishu and Zishu quickly followed and left the assembly hall together. After a while, under the escort of Guang Ping and the others, Mo Qingyun and the other two left the Heavenly Bull Divine sect. The Divine Wood Imperial Court was also on the Divine Wood continent. Therefore, their jurisdiction was not far from the Heavenly Bull Divine sect. With Mo Qingyun's speed, they could reach it in 2 days at most. "You continue to cultivate. I'll control the flying boat." Walking into the black demonic flying boat, Yao Yu took the initiative to control the flying boat and let Mo Qingyun continue to cultivate. Looking at her performance, she really treated herself as a follower. All right, Mo Qingyun didn't reject Yao Yu's request and naturally agreed. Then, Mo Qingyun walked into the secret room and once again immersed himself in cultivation. Following Mo Qingyun's departure to cultivate, only Wang Zishu and the other two were left in the cabin. The two women's eyes met, and they nodded as a greeting. "I have already heard of the changes in your divine Wood imperial family." After greeting Wang Zishu, Yao Yu was the first to break the silence. She took the initiative to communicate with Wang Zishu and said, "I didn't expect that after only a few decades, you would actually come back to restore your country. My luck was pretty good. Before I awaken my memories, I met senior brother during an experience." Hearing Yao Yu's words, Wang Zishu smiled sweetly. Her face was brimming with happiness. Thinking about how she got along with Mo Qingyun, she was very content and felt very lucky. If she had not met Mo Qingyun, she would not have survived the 100 Countries battlefield. "Senior brother?" Yao Yu was shocked when she heard Wang Zishu's words. She was surprised by the way Wang Zishu addressed her and asked curiously, "You and Mo Qingyun are senior brothers. Doesn't that mean that Mo Qingyun has been cultivating for less than 100 years? This discovery gave Yao Yu quite a fright. Reaching the celestial domain grade in less than 100 years? What kind of cultivation speed was this? Wang Zishu smiled sweetly when she thought about how she had met Mo Qingyun. Actually, the situation is like this. At the time, he wanted to take me in as a disciple, but I didn't agree. Instead, I followed him as his junior sister and cultivated by his side. He agreed. Yao Yu's beautiful eyes widened when she heard Wang Zishu's words. She found this somewhat unbelievable. In her opinion, Wang Zishu's actions were clearly a little disrespectful. After a brief moment of shock, Yao Yu revealed an envious expression. She felt a little sour in her heart as she said, "It seems like he dotes on you a lot. You must be very happy to be by his side." "Yes, he is very accommodating to us and has always been silently contributing to us." Wang Zishu didn't think too much about Yao Yu's words. She just replied casually. In her opinion, Yao Yu should be like Yi Wuyo and the others. She should also be one of Mo Qingyun's women. After chatting with Yao Yu for a while, Wang Zishu's expression became gloomy. It's a pity that Han Yin and the others are no longer around. Ling Long has also gone to the Sky Realm and has been separated from senior brother once again. Han Yin, Ling Long, them? Yao Yu's astonishment intensified when she heard Wang Zishu's words. According to what Wang Zishu said, Mo Qingyun really had a lot of women by his side. When Yao Yu realized this, she couldn't help but sigh. This fellow is really fickle. He actually has so many women by his side. Yao Yu was a little puzzled. What did this have to do with her? While Yao Yu was mocking herself, she also got curious and asked, "Can you tell me about Mr. Mo's past?" "Sure." Wang Zishu readily agreed to Yao Yu's request. Yao Yu's eyes immediately lit up when she saw Wang Zishu's reaction. She was a little excited. Speaking of which, she was really curious about Mo Qingyun's past. Next, the two women chatted as they controlled the flying boat to hurry on their journey. Among the women that Mo Qingyun knew, other than Pei Qiu, Mo Ling, Mo Xiao, and Wang Zishu were the most familiar with Mo Qingyun's past. More importantly, after Mo Qingyun entered the 100 Countries battlefield, there were many things that Mo Ling and the other women didn't know. Therefore, compared to the other women, Wang Zishu knew the most about Mo Qingyun's past. Just like this, Wang Zishu told Yao Yu everything that happened from the 100 Countries battlefield to the present without holding back. Among them, the most detailed was the matter between Mo Qingyun, Long Han Yin, and Qian Ling Long. After listening to the matter between Mo Qingyun and Long Han Yin, Yao Yu fell silent and a hint of sadness appeared on her pretty face. She could feel the pain in Mo Qingyun's heart when Long Han Yin and the other women disappeared. During those 10 years, Mo Qingyun's mood was so low and he was so confused about his future. And when Mo Qingyun was depressed, Qian Ling Long silently accompanied him and awakened his fighting spirit bit by bit. What kind of hard work did she put in? In the end, Mo Qingyun and Qian Ling Long were brought to the celestial realm not long after they got along. It had to be said that Mo Qingyun and Qian Ling Long's relationship had gone through too many twists and turns. So, he still wants to go to the celestial realm to find Miss Ling Long. Yao Yu was silent for a while before she broke the silence and asked Wang Zishu. Hearing Yao Yu's question, Wang Zishu nodded and her expression became serious again. She said, "It's just that it won't be easy to bring Ling Long back. Senior brother still has to go through many difficulties. It's a pity that I can't help him at all. No matter how difficult it is, I believe that he can do it." Yao Yu comforted Wang Zishu and smiled faintly. She said, "We've arrived at the area of the Divine Wood Imperial Court. We should go and call him." Chapter 2677. Are we here already? Mo Qingyun exited the cultivation room when the two girls called him. After coming out of the cultivation room, Mo Qingyun nodded at the two and walked out of the Black Devil flying ship. "Zishu, who were your father's trusted aides when he was on the throne?" Mo Qingyun asked Wang Zishu directly as he had a plan after coming out of the Black Demon flying ship. Wang Zishu pondered when she heard Mo Qingyun's question. She recalled and said, "When my father was on the throne, there were 5 people who were highly regarded by him. They were the domineering Marquis Wang Xiao, the resourceful star Pan Yong, the divine General Ma Wenguang, the Grand Tutor Shi Wendi, and the Grand Tutor Jin Chuanmi." Wang Xiao. Mo Qingyun was surprised to hear Wang Xiao's name among the 5 people mentioned by Wang Zishu. He did not expect Wang Xiao to be so highly regarded by Wang Zishu's father when he was on the throne. After a moment of shock, Mo Qingyun felt relieved and accepted this fact. If Wang Xiao was not highly regarded, he would not have been able to gather people and successfully usurp the throne. After pondering for a while, Mo Qingyun frowned and asked, "Did any of the other four pledge allegiance to Wang Shao?" In Mo Qingyun's opinion, there was no guarantee that no one would pledge allegiance after Wang Shao successfully usurped the throne. The Grand Tutor Jin Chuanmi was the reason why Wang Shao was able to usurp the throne. Wang Zishu's face turned cold when she heard Mo Qingyun's question. A ruthless look appeared in her eyes as she said, "If it wasn't for his secret persuasion, how could so many officials pledge allegiance to Wang Shao in secret? It seems that Jin Chuanmi cannot be roped in." Mo Qingyun immediately excluded Jin Chuanmi from his list of must-kill targets after learning about his situation. Wang Zishu frowned slightly after hearing about Jin Chuanmi's situation. As for Pan Yong, Ma Wangguang, and Shi Wendy, I'm not sure about the specifics. Mo Qingyun did not continue asking after hearing Wang Zishu's words. After so many years, things had changed. It was normal that Wang Zishu did not know about it. Let's find a city first and capture its city lord to gather information. After giving some instructions to the two girls, Mo Qingyun led them to search for a nearby city. Based on her memory, Wang Zishu quickly brought them to an ancient city, Lord Ancient City. This ancient city was very dilapidated. The city walls were broken and the buildings in the city were old. It gave people the feeling of an old man in his twilight years. Wendy's city? Wang Zishu frowned when she saw the words on the city gate. She seemed to be deep in thought. Looking at Wang Zishu's reaction, Mo Qingyun asked curiously, "Is there something wrong with this city? If I remember correctly, this city used to be called Sunset Mountain City. How did it become Windy City?" Wang Zishu asked in confusion when she heard Mo Qingyun's question. She widened her eyes in surprise and guessed, "Could it be that the Grand Tutor has returned and changed the name of this city?" Mo Qingyun's expression immediately changed when he heard Wang Zishu's analysis. He felt a strong sense of anticipation. If that was the case, it would save them a lot of trouble and they could look for the Grand Tutor directly. "Let's enter the city and take a look." After saying this, Mo Qingyun took the lead and walked towards the city gate. Mo Qingyun and the other two arrived at the city gate. They did not even see a single city guard. It was obvious that the city was in a dilapidated state. Mo Qingyun would have suspected that it was an abandoned city if there were no people walking around. Although the city was in a dilapidated state, the location of the city lord mansion was still very obvious. Mo Qingyun and the other two walked into the city. They saw a huge mansion in the middle of the city. Mo Qingyun and the other two did not stop and walked directly to the city lord mansion. Soon, they arrived outside the city lord mansion and saw an old man sweeping the floor. Mo Qingyun looked at the old man in front of him with a humble expression and asked, "Sir, may I ask if the Grand Tutor, Wendy, lives here?" "There is no Grand Tutor here. You can go back." The old man did not even lift his head in response to Mo Qingyun's question. He continued to sweep the floor unhurriedly. Mo Qingyun was a little disappointed when he heard the old man's answer. He turned to look at Wang Zishu. Meanwhile, Wang Zishu had an excited expression on her face as she gazed at the old man and said, "Grand Tutor, I'm Zishu. Don't you recognize me?" "Zishu." The old man trembled when he heard Wang Zishu's words. It was as if he had been electrocuted. Then, he looked at Wang Zishu excitedly. "He is Grand Tutor, Wendy." Mo Qingyun was shocked when he saw the old man's reaction. He guessed the old man's identity. He did not expect the Grand Tutor, who used to be so powerful, to become an old man sweeping the floor. Under Mo Qingyun's astonished gaze, Wendy sized up Wang Zishu. He then revealed an excited expression and said, "Your Highness, please follow me into the residence first. We'll talk about other matters later." "Okay." Wang Zishu nodded and followed him into the mansion. Mo Qingyun and Wang Zishu followed closely behind and entered the city lord mansion. When Mo Qingyun and Wang Zishu followed, Wendy frowned and looked at them warily. However, Wendy did not say anything in the end. He turned around and continued to lead the way. Before long, under Wendy's lead, everyone arrived at a small courtyard. There were some herbs planted in the courtyard, and some farming tools were placed around. It looked like a small farmhouse. Looking at this scene and sure Wendy's actions, it was obvious that he thought of himself as an old farmer. Your Highness, I am sorry for not being able to protect the late emperor. Sure Wendy walked into the courtyard and knelt in front of Wang Zishu with a guilty look on his face. Wang Zishu panicked when she saw Sure Wendy's actions. She quickly helped him up and said, Grand Tutor, you don't have to blame yourself. It's all Wang Xiao and Jin Chuami's fault. Sure Wendy's face trembled when he heard Wang Zishu's words. He quickly said, Your Highness, Wang Xiao and Jin Chuami's cultivation have reached the mid-stage of the universe realm. Please don't seek revenge on them. Mid-stage of the universe realm. Wang Zishu's face was filled with astonishment after hearing Sure Wendy's words. She did not expect the two of them to improve so much in just a few decades. Sure Wendy's face tensed up when he reminded Wang Zishu. He said, Your Highness, Wang Zhao's influence is very strong now. His lackeys are everywhere. You should leave this place as soon as possible and never come back again. No, I came back this time to restore the empire. In response to Sure Wendy's persuasion, Wang Zishu's expression was firm as she rejected his good intentions. Hearing Wang Zishu's words, Sure Wendy's expression was startled and a glint flashed in his eyes. Clearly, Wang Zishu had stirred up his fighting spirit when she talked about restoring the empire. Chapter 2678. A Universe Realm Powerhouse. As Sure Wendy lost control of his emotions, a faint energy fluctuation emanated from his body. When Mo Qingyun sensed this energy fluctuation, he was shocked. His expression changed drastically as he looked at Sure Wendy. He had never imagined that this dispirited old man would actually be a Universe Realm powerhouse. This discovery delighted Mo Qingyun and made him look forward to the other two. Since Sure Wendy is a Universe Realm powerhouse, then the resourceful star Pan Yong and the divine General Ma Wang should also be Universe Realm powerhouses. Grand Tutor, there is no need to boost other people's morale and diminish our own. When he sensed Sure Wendy's energy fluctuation, Mo Qingyun tried to persuade him. He had decided to rope him in. Originally, Mo Qingyun had thought that since Sure Wendy was just an old man in his twilight years, he wouldn't disturb his life. However, he hadn't expected that this old man would actually be a Universe Realm powerhouse. Mo Qingyun couldn't let him off. When he heard Mo Qingyun's words, Sure Wendy's expression turned cold. Young man, given your cultivation, you have no idea how powerful a Universe Realm powerhouse is. If you want to throw your life away, don't drag Her Highness down with you. Wang Zishu frowned when she saw Sure Wendy's attitude. Displeasure appeared on her face. In her eyes, Mo Qingyun was her everything. She wouldn't allow anyone to humiliate him. Even if the old man before her was the Grand Tutor of the previous dynasty, she wouldn't be an exception. When he sensed the change in Wang Zishu's gaze, Sure Wendy's face sank. He had a vague feeling that something wasn't right. Princess Zishu seemed to care a lot about this young man. It seems like this young man is the reason why the princess wants to restore the country. Sure Wendy was a shrewd old man. He thought for a moment and guessed the crux of the matter. If this goes on, Her Highness will be in danger. We have to deal with this lad to prevent him from continuing to bewitch the princess. As Sure Wendy thought this, his gaze on Mo Qingyun immediately turned frosty. At this moment, while Sure Wendy was hardening his heart, Mo Qingyun had a look of disdain on his face as he said, They're just mid-stage Universe Realm cultivators. It's not like I haven't fought against them before. Although it's a little troublesome to deal with two of them, it's only a little troublesome. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Sure Wendy's expression changed. He looked at Mo Qingyun in confusion. He could sense that Mo Qingyun was not boasting or exaggerating. However, how can an early-stage Star Domain Realm cultivator fight against a Universe Realm cultivator? No, someone did it. Mo Qingyun of the Heavenly Bull Divine sect. Even as Sure Wendy was feeling puzzled, his heart trembled, and a person appeared in his mind. As soon as this thought appeared in his mind, he revealed a shocked expression and immediately asked Emo Chingyun, "Young master, if I may ask, are you Mr. Emo from the Heavenly Bull Divine sect?" "That's me." Seeing that sure Wendy had guessed his identity, Emo Chingyun nodded and did not hide his identity. Now that he knew Emo Chingyun's identity, sure Wendy withdrew his killing intent and put on a solemn expression. "Mr. Emo, I know that you're talented and have outstanding combat strength. However, Wang Xiao and Jin Chuami's strength is not something that Wang Kai can compare to. I'm very clear about this." Emo Chingyun did not refute sure Wendy's words. Instead, he smiled faintly and said, "Although Wang Xiao and Jin Chuami are stronger, it doesn't mean that I don't have other tricks up my sleeve. If we really fight, it's hard to say who will win." Looking at Emo Chingyun's confident appearance, sure Wendy's brows furrowed even more. He looked hesitant. Sure Wendy hesitated for a moment before his expression turned solemn. He asked, "Young master, may I ask how confident you are in defeating Wang Xiao and helping Princess Zishu restore her country?" "More than 70%. Emo Chingyun gave a simple answer to sure Wendy's question. Then he added, "If I can get the Grand Tutor, Pan Yong, and Ma Wenguang's help, my chances of winning will be even higher. 70%. Sure Wendy's face twitched when he heard Emo Chingyun's answer. He was shocked by Emo Chingyun's words. A 70% chance of winning was already quite high. When he saw that sure Wendy was silent, Emo Chingyun pondered for a moment before saying, "Grand Tutor, you are a virtuous official of the previous dynasty, and you care so much about young master's safety. You should know very well what to do. You should know very well that even if you don't help us, we will continue to restore our country." When he heard Emo Chingyun's words, sure Wendy looked deeply at Emo Chingyun. The young man in front of him was not someone to be trifled with. Emo Chingyun's words seemed to be persuading him, but they were actually a warning. If he didn't assist Emo Chingyun would regard him as Wang Xiao. Once Wang Xiao and the others were dealt with, he would slowly deal with him. "I am sure Wendy. I am willing to assist the princess in restoring her country." Sure Wendy made a decision after weighing the pros and cons of the situation. He had long been indifferent to his own life. The only reason he was struggling at death's door was to find Wang Zishu. This was the last instruction that the previous emperor had given him before his death. Now that he had found Wang Zishu, he should wholeheartedly assist her. Now, Wang Zishu had a rising star like Emo Chingyun by her side. Plus, he would do his best to assist her. The chances of success in suppressing Wang Xiao and restoring the country were indeed high. "Please get up, Grand Tutor." Wang Zishu smiled sweetly when she saw sure Wendy's actions and hurriedly waved at him. Sure Wendy stood up and asked curiously, "Mr. Emo, do you have any good plans to help the princess restore her country?" Operation Decapitation. In response to sure Wendy's question, Emo Chingyun did not avoid arousing suspicion and directly told him his plan. After listening to Emo Chingyun's plan, sure Wendy's old face trembled and turned pale. He had a vague feeling that he was the first target of Emo Chingyun's Operation Decapitation. If he dared to disagree, Emo Chingyun would most likely make a move on him and would not give him any face. Although they had not known each other for a long time, he could sense that Emo Chingyun was a decisive person. Otherwise, Emo Chingyun would not have let Wang Kai suffer one setback after another in his dealings with Wang Kai. "Mr. Emo, who is the next target? I can provide him with information." After calming down the shock in his heart, sure Wendy asked with an inquiring expression and was ready to come up with a plan. Hearing sure Wendy's words, Emo Chingyun's eyes lit up. With a bright smile on his face, he said, "It would be great if Grand Tutor could provide information. I'm not familiar with the current divine Wood Imperial Court. Grand Tutor, please tell me in detail." "All right." Hearing Emo Chingyun's request, sure Wendy nodded in agreement and explained the current situation of the divine Wood Imperial Court. Chapter 2679. After a while, with sure Wendy's explanation, Emo Chingyun had a clear understanding of the situation in the divine Wood Imperial Court. Not only that, But Mo Qingyun also made a major discovery during his conversation with Sure Wendy. Sure Wendy seemed to have retreated into seclusion, but his attention to the divine wood imperial court did not decrease at all. Otherwise, his understanding of the divine wood imperial court would not have reached such a level. In any case, Sure Wendy was familiar with the situation in the divine wood imperial court, which was a good thing. According to what you said, there are still 20% of the previous dynasty's loyalists hiding in the current divine wood imperial court. Mo Qingyun calculated in his mind and had a rough idea. He quickly calculated in his mind. If we can rope them all in, it will be a considerable force. It will be very helpful for the crusade against the divine wood imperial court. Sure, Wendy nodded and agreed with Mo Qingyun's words. After talking with Sure Wendy for a while, Mo Qingyun showed an inquiring look and asked, Abbess, who do you think we should rope in next? Ma Wenguang has been leading the troops and setting up camp at the border of the demon territory. Our journey is too far, so we can't choose. After analyzing Ma Wenguang's situation, Sure Wendy first excluded him and continued to analyze the situation of other people. He said, there's no need to rush to rope in those who are not strong or have less power. When the time comes, we will raise the banner of the crusade, and they will slowly come over. Mo Qingyun and the other two nodded in agreement. If those people were really loyalists of the previous dynasty, they would definitely take the initiative to support Wang Zishu. After a round of selection, Sure Wendy finally decided on a person and said, Pan Yong's residence is not far from here. If we can persuade him, it will be a great help. Then we will have to trouble Abbess to lead the way. Hearing Sure Wendy's suggestion, Mo Qingyun immediately decided to try to persuade Pan Yong first. I will go and prepare. After Sure Wendy said this, he walked into the house. Sure Wendy walked into the house, and Mo Qingyun and the other two waited in the courtyard. Not long after, Sure Wendy walked out of the house. He nodded to Mo Qingyun and the other two and said, let's go. Hearing this, Mo Qingyun took out the black demon flying ship and carried the three of them to find Pan Yong. Abbess, you're familiar with Pan Yong's residence. Please guide us. After leaving Wendy's city, Mo Qingyun asked Sure Wendy to lead the way. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Sure Wendy led the way for everyone. Pointing to a stretch of deep mountains, he said, passing through the stretch of granola forest swamp is the boundary of Shangyun City. Pan Yong lives in Shangyun City. When Pan Yong sees Her Highness, he will definitely be very surprised, and his fighting spirit will be reignited. When Sure Wendy said this, his fighting spirit was ignited. That couldn't be better. Mo Qingyun smiled faintly at Sure Wendy's words. He was happy to see this. The distance between Wendy City and Shangyun City was not particularly far. With Mo Qingyun and the rest speed, it only took half a day to arrive. Follow me. The few of them arrived outside Shangyun City. Sure Wendy led the way in front and walked toward the restaurant. Looking at this mediocre restaurant, Mo Qingyun's expression froze. He guessed who its owner was. He did not expect that with Pan Yong's status, he would have the mind to open a restaurant. However, it could be seen that Pan Yong still had fighting spirit in his heart. The restaurant looked ordinary, but it was a good place to gather information. Pan Yong opened the restaurant with a deeper meaning. Not long after, under Sure Wendy's lead, everyone passed through the restaurant's lobby and arrived at the restaurant's backyard. At this moment, in the backyard, a middle-aged scholar was holding a tortoise shell and seemed to be deducing something. Brother Pan Yong, long time no see. Looking at the middle-aged scholar in the courtyard, Sure Wendy gave him a hearty smile and greeted him. Hearing Sure Wendy's voice, the middle-aged scholar immediately turned his head and looked at Sure Wendy with a surprised expression. This was because he discovered that compared to the past, Sure Wendy today was obviously different. A few years ago, he had once paid a visit to Sure Wendy. That day, Sure Wendy looked sloppy and listless. On the other hand, although the clothes on Sure Wendy today were not luxurious, they were clean and well-dressed. More importantly, Sure Wendy's current words were filled with enthusiasm and fighting spirit. After a slight surprise, Pan Yong revealed a warm smile and said, I just divined and expected that there would be a distinguished guest today. I didn't expect it to be the Grand Tutor. Please forgive me for not going out to meet you. Don't try this with me, you clairvoyant. Towards Pan Yong's polite words, Sure, Wendy waved his hand and said, This time, you're wrong. Your distinguished guest is not me. Oh. Pan Yong revealed a curious expression and looked at Mo Qingyun and the other two. When Pan Yong saw Wang Zishu, he was stunned on the spot. His eyes widened. Princess Zishu? After calming down, Pan Yong revealed a shocked expression and confirmed with sure Wendy. Wang Zishu's sudden appearance was indeed too shocking for him. That's right, it's Princess Zishu. Are you very surprised? Seeing Pan Yong's reaction, sure Wendy smiled proudly and gave him an affirmation. After learning of Wang Zishu's identity from sure Wendy, Pan Yong immediately bowed to Wang Zishu and said, Your servant Pan Yong pays his respects to your highness. Prime Minister, please get up. Seeing Pan Yong's actions, Wang Zishu quickly helped him up. In the previous dynasty, Pan Yong was the prime minister who was second only to one person. He was considered to be in a high position. With Wang Zishu's help, Pan Yong stood up slowly and looked at sure Wendy solemnly. Grand Tutor, this isn't your Wendy city. There are no spies of the imperial court here. It is too dangerous for you to bring Princess Zishu here. When he heard Pan Yong's worried words, sure Wendy smiled nonchalantly and said, Don't worry. With Mr. Mo, you and I here, no one can stop us unless Wang Xiao or Jin Xuanmi personally comes. Mr. Mo? Pan Yong frowned and looked at Mo Qingyun in surprise. Clearly, he knew that the Mr. Mo sure Wendy was referring to was Mo Qingyun. However, what surprised him was that sure Wendy actually thought so highly of a celestial domain grade junior. His surname is Mo? Could he be? Pan Yong thought for a moment and guessed Mo Qingyun's identity. Sir, could you be young Master Mo Qingyun, who defeated Wang Kai in the Heavenly Bull Divine sect? That's me. Upon seeing that Pan Yong had guessed his identity, Mo Qingyun didn't try to hide it. Instead, he nodded and admitted it. After hearing Mo Qingyun's confirmation, the shock on Pan Yong's face intensified. Chapter 2680. Oh, it's Mr. Mo. Please forgive me for not coming out to greet you. After knowing Mo Qingyun's identity, Pan Yong cupped his hands in greeting. From the looks of it, he had long heard of some of Mo Qingyun's deeds. You're too kind. Mo Qingyun hurriedly waved his hand at Pan Yong's actions. After exchanging pleasantries with Mo Qingyun and the others, Pan Yong ordered a table of dishes to be served. Everyone sat in the courtyard and chatted as they ate. Pan Yong, we come to find you this time because we have something to discuss with you. After catching up with Pan Yong for a while, sure Wendy did not beat around the bush and began to explain his intentions. I've already promised Princess Zishu that I'll help her restore the previous dynasty. We're here to look for you to help us. Restore the dynasty? Pan Yong's face was filled with shock when he heard sure Wendy's words. After calming himself down, Pan Yong's expression turned solemn. He said in a deep voice, Master, restoring the dynasty is not a joke. You should know better than me how powerful Wang Xiao and the others are. They're definitely not people we can fight against. Sure, Wendy was shocked when he saw Pan Yong's attitude. He was surprised by Pan Yong's reaction. In his memory, Pan Yong had always been looking for Wang Zishu and wanted to help her restore the previous dynasty. Now, when it was time for him to make a move, he was actually hesitating. To sure Wendy, this situation was too strange. Although he was somewhat puzzled, sure Wendy did not think too much about it. He opened his mouth to persuade Pan Yong. Although our current strength is somewhat lacking compared to Wang Xiao and the others, we can deal with them while quickly accumulating strength. I believe that the remaining loyal people of the previous dynasty will definitely come to our aid when they know that Princess Zishu is still alive. With the help of the Heavenly Bull Divine sect, we might be able to fight against Wang Xiao and the others. Pan Yong fell silent when he heard sure Wendy's words. He was hesitant. Seeing Pan Yong's reaction, Sure, Wendy and the others did not rush him. They quietly allowed Pan Yong to consider. Pan Yong was silent for a moment. Then, he looked at Wang Zishu and said, "Your Highness, this matter is of great importance. Please allow me to consider it carefully." "All right." Wang Zishu kindly agreed to Pan Yong's request. Seeing Pan Yong's behavior, Sure Wendy, who was sitting next to him, frowned again. Although he couldn't pinpoint what was wrong with Pan Yong, his behavior today was somewhat abnormal. "Prime Minister, we'll give you 1 day. I believe it's enough time for you to seriously consider it." Looking at the hesitant Pan Yong, Mo Qingyun's expression turned serious, and he gave him a time limit. Mo Qingyun couldn't possibly wait here endlessly for Pan Yong to slowly consider. "All right." Pan Yong nodded at Mo Qingyun's request. Following this, everyone chatted with each other and did not talk about reviving the kingdom. After all, Pan Yong did not agree to assist Wang Zishu, so it was not good to say too many details. After so many years, Mo Qingyun and the others couldn't guarantee that Pan Yong wouldn't have any other thoughts. A few hours later, after everyone toasted each other, Mo Qingyun stood up and said goodbye to Pan Yong. "Prime Minister, we'll come back tomorrow. I hope you can help us." "Mr. Mo, I have plenty of guest rooms here. Why do you have to stay elsewhere?" Seeing that Mo Qingyun wanted to find another place to stay, Pan Yong hurriedly urged him to stay and immediately asked someone to prepare a guest room. "No need to trouble yourself. It's fine if we find another place to stay." However, before Pan Yong could finish speaking, Mo Qingyun declined with a faint smile. "It won't be long before we're going to deal with Wang Xiao and the others. If we stay here, even if you don't join us, I'm afraid you'll be implicated." Sure Wendy nodded in agreement with Mo Qingyun's point of view. That was indeed the case. "Thank you for your trouble, Mr. Mo. I won't keep you." Seeing that Mo Qingyun had made up his mind, Pan Yong stopped persuading him. "I'll think about it tonight. I'll give you an answer tomorrow." "Okay." Mo Qingyun nodded indifferently at Pan Yong's words. He said to Wang Zishu and the others, "Let's go first. We'll come back tomorrow." Then, Mo Qingyun and the others left to find another restaurant to stay in. It's hard to be loyal and filial. Looking at the backs of Mo Qingyun and the others, Pan Yong's expression was pained. He couldn't help but sigh. Mo Qingyun and the others didn't know about Pan Yong's behavior. Otherwise, they would have noticed something. "Master, what do you think Prime Minister Pan will choose tomorrow?" After coming out of the mediocre restaurant, Mo Qingyun asked directly. He wanted to know Sure Wendy's thoughts. Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Sure Wendy's old face tensed up. He hesitated for a moment before saying, "I originally thought that Pan Yong would take the initiative to ask Princess Zishu to restore her country when he saw her arrival. I didn't expect him to show hesitation when we invited him. This is really unexpected. It makes me feel a little strange." After hearing Sure Wendy's thoughts, Mo Qingyun's expression gradually turned cold. He was a little unhappy with Pan Yong. Pan Yong's hesitation was different from Sure Wendy's. Previously, Sure Wendy was disheartened. In addition, he was worried about Wang Zishu's safety. That was why he hesitated whether to help restore the country. However, Pan Yong was full of thoughts. He was unwilling to help Wang Zishu. There must be some secret. Did he lose to the nobles? Mo Qingyun muttered to himself. His expression turned even colder. Feeling Mo Qingyun's coldness, Sure Wendy's old face trembled. He could not help but feel worried for Pan Yong. The young man in front of him was not someone who was easy to talk to. If Pan Yong really had any ulterior motives, Mo Qingyun would definitely not hesitate to make a move and strangle this threat. Let's see what he decides tomorrow. Mo Qingyun withdrew his coldness. He greeted everyone and walked into a restaurant. For Mo Qingyun, it was meaningless to think about it now. Everything would wait until tomorrow. At night, in the city lord's mansion, a man in black came to the city lord's mansion. He whispered to the city lord's bedroom, "Princess Zishu is not dead. They're now living in the Yunxiang restaurant." Princess Zishu? The princess of the previous dynasty? Hearing the voice outside the house, the city lord of Shangyun City, Zhou Jingyu, had a look of surprise on his face. This news really shocked him. It was something he had never thought of. If I capture this princess of the previous dynasty, I will definitely get His Majesty's reward. Zhou Jingyu sneered. He walked out of the bedroom with a strong sense of expectation. Coming out of the bedroom, he immediately gathered his men and surrounded the Yunxiang restaurant. Zhou Jingyu arrived here. He did not immediately launch an attack. Instead, he set up an array formation outside the restaurant. Chapter 2681. Your Highness, Zhou Jingyu requests an audience. Please come out to meet me. After instructing his subordinates to take action, Zhou Jingyu shouted, and his voice instantly spread throughout Shangyun City. Hearing Zhou Jingyu shout, whether it was the people in Yunxiang Restaurant or the people of Shangyun City, they were all alarmed. What? Your Highness came to Shangyun City? Looking at the city lord's posture, it doesn't seem like he's here to welcome your Highness. I look at his current posture, it seems like he's arresting some fugitive. Could it be the princess of the previous dynasty, Princess Zishu? For a time, all kinds of voices sounded, and everyone gathered around curiously. When everyone gathered around, Emo Qingyun and the rest in Yunxiang Restaurant noticed the movement outside. Our whereabouts are exposed. Seeing the situation outside, Emo Qingyun thought in his mind and immediately guessed the reason. Emo Qingyun discovered this point, and his face darkened, producing a strong anger, and said, "Currently in Shangyun City, the only person who knows our whereabouts is Pan Yong alone." Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, everyone's face darkened, producing a strong anger. This way, the answer was very obvious. Pan Yong leaked their whereabouts. This Pan Yong deserves to die. Speculating that it was Pan Yong who leaked the secret, Emo Qingyun's face darkened, and the killing intent on his body was not concealed. It was fine if Pan Yong did not help, but he actually secretly betrayed them. Absolutely intolerable. Regarding Emo Qingyun's anger, Sure Windy did not persuade him either. He just sighed with emotion and said, "I didn't expect Pan Yong to actually betray us and choose to surrender to Wang Xiao and the rest. It's really hard to predict the changes in the world." When Sure Windy was lamenting, he produced a strong disappointment. Pan Yong's action was a bit too much. "Yao Yu, protect Zishu well, I'll bring you guys out." Knowing the current situation, Emo Qingyun did not choose to retreat and prepared to directly kill his way out of the encirclement. Arriving outside Yunxiang Restaurant, Emo Qingyun saw many people surrounding Yunxiang Restaurant. "Princess Zishu, I didn't expect to meet you under such circumstances." Looking at Wang Zishu beside Yao Yu, Zhou Jingyu recognized her, and a cold smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Wang Zishu ignored Zhou Jingyu's words and stood beside Yao Yu with an indifferent face. An early-stage universe realm, 3 quasi-universe realm cultivators. Glancing at Zhou Jingyu and the rest, a faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth and a faint smile on his face. "With Yu's realm." Zhou Yu's words Yu Zishu. Yu, and the Yu Zishu before you and use you. Before. Upon hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Zhou Jingyu's expression turned cold as he said disdainfully, "How dare a kid with an early-stage celestial domain grade cultivation spout such nonsense? Isn't he afraid of biting his tongue?" "You!" Zhou Jingyu yelled angrily. He didn't say anything more to Emo Qingyun and ordered his subordinates to attack. Under Zhou Jingyu's command, his subordinates immediately activated the array formation and launched an attack on Emo Qingyun and the others. As the array was activated, a terrifying wave of array energy was produced within the array. Level 5 array. Oh no, we're surrounded too. No, I want to get out. Let me out." The other customers of Yunxiang Restaurant screamed in panic when they saw that they were trapped by the array. Then, they frantically attacked the array in an attempt to break it and escape. Unfortunately, the power of a level 5 array was too strong and they couldn't break it. Although at a level 5 array, it's not particularly complete. It should be activated by an array disk. Mo Qingyun's expression turned solemn when he saw the formation around them. He saw some clues and said, "The main thing is that we have to find the formation plate. Once we break the formation plate, we will be able to get out." Immediately after, Mo Qingyun released his soul power to search for the location of the disc array. Space imprisonment. Seeing the array attack coming, Sure Windy didn't dare to be careless. He immediately used the law of space to block it. Under Sure Windy's attack, the space around Mo Qingyun and the rest was immediately forcefully imprisoned. As the space was imprisoned, the array attack was blocked. It couldn't get close to Mo Qingyun and the rest. Young Master Mo, although this old man can block the attack of the formation, I am unable to break it. After blocking the array attack, Sure Windy reminded Mo Qingyun with a serious expression. He then said, "Find a way to break the array as soon as possible. We can only leave this place if we break the array." Okay. Hearing Sure Windy's words, Mo Qingyun nodded and continued to search for the array disk. Seeing Sure Windy's attack, Zhou Jingyu was stunned. Shock appeared on his face. He said, Grand Tutor Sure Windy, I didn't think he'd be here. We're in trouble now." Recognizing Sure Windy, Zhou Jingyu's face was filled with shock. He was quite shocked by this turn of events. He couldn't be more clear about Sure Windy's strength. He definitely wasn't someone he could contend against. Therefore, if the array was broken, he would be in a bad situation instead. "No, I have to ask for help as soon as possible. Master, please send reinforcements." Realizing his situation, Zhou Jingyu didn't hesitate at all. He immediately asked for reinforcements. Then, Zhou Jingyu took out a seed and threw it in front of him. The seed landed on the ground and sprouted rapidly. In the blink of an eye, it grew into a towering tree. A root tree. Seeing the rapidly growing seed, Sure Windy's face was filled with shock. He said worriedly, "I didn't think Zhou Jingyu would have such a treasure. We're in trouble." Hearing Sure Windy's words, Mo Qingyun's expression changed. He asked in confusion, "What's so special about this root tree?" A root tree is a very special kind of tree. It has the ability to teleport its children and mother trees. Sure Windy didn't hide anything from Mo Qingyun's question. He immediately explained, "Zhou Jingyu planted the seed here. Whichever side of the mother tree senses it and can immediately send reinforcements. It's much more efficient than using a teleportation formation. It has such a magical effect." After Sure Windy's explanation, Mo Qingyun's face was filled with shock. However, he didn't pay too much attention to it. He continued to search for the array disk calmly. After a short while, Mo Qingyun found the location of the formation disk after searching for a while. Found it. After Mo Qingyun found the array disk, he didn't hesitate any longer and immediately took out the divine sword of 9 oxen. Mo Qingyun slashed out with his sword, and a golden sword light with a threatening aura slashed towards the arrayed disk in a domineering manner. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Zhou Jingyu's expression shook. He exclaimed, "Oh no, this guy found the array disk. We can't let him destroy it." Chapter 2682. Break it. Zhou Jingyu arrived in front of the disk array and struck out with his palm, blasting towards the approaching sword light. However, what surprised him was that Mo Qingyun's sword light directly penetrated his palm energy. Boom! Under Mo Qingyun's sword, the disk array was directly blasted apart and shattered at an extremely fast speed. As the disk array was blasted apart, the array that trapped Mo Qingyun and the others collapsed in the blink of an eye. How is this possible? That kid's sword light can actually penetrate my palm energy. Seeing the strange scene in front of him, Zhou Jingyu's face was filled with shock. He was frightened by the situation. If he had not seen it with his own eyes, he would not have believed that Mo Qingyun had such a strange method. In that case, the decapitation plan will begin here. Seeing that he had already made his move, Mo Qingyun did not want to hide anymore and prepared to confront the Divine Wood Imperial Court head-on. After Mo Qingyun destroyed the disk array, he flew towards Zhou Jingyu with a cold expression. Mo Qingyun's figure moved. He arrived in front of Zhou Jingyu and slashed at him again. Under Mo Qingyun's swing, the divine nine oxen sword immediately bloomed with a dazzling golden light and emitted a terrifying aura. Then, a sword light that blotted out the sky blasted out from the divine nine oxen sword. What a powerful aura! This kid's strength is already comparable to a universe realm powerhouse. Seeing the power of Mo Qingyun's sword, Zhou Jingyu's expression trembled and a sense of shock arose in his heart. Mo Qingyun's sword was already enough to threaten him. Annihilating Ice Wolf Spear. Facing Mo Qingyun's sword, Zhou Jingyu did not dare to be careless and immediately stabbed forward with his spear. When Zhou Jingyu stabbed out with his spear, an ice-cold chill erupted from his body. This chill erupted and turned into a huge blue spear shadow, increasing the power of Zhou Jingyu's spear. Soon, under everyone's gaze, the sword light and spear light collided. What surprised everyone was that the collision of the sword and spear did not result in a violent collision. The sword light pierced through the spear light and swept towards Zhou Jingyu. Not good. His attack has penetrative properties. It can penetrate all kinds of power. Zhou Jingyu's expression trembled when he saw the sword light piercing towards him. His face turned as pale as a sheet of paper. However, Zhou Jingyu was a space realm expert after all. His mental state was much stronger than the average person. Although he was extremely panicked, he still hurriedly retreated, dodging Mo Qingyun's sword light. As Zhou Jingyu retreated, he released the law of space to dissolve the sword light's attack. Space expansion. An astonishing power of laws was released from Zhou Jingyu's body, changing the space in front of him. Then, the distance between him and the sword ray was infinitely widened. Zhou Jingyu's tense expression slowly relaxed as he watched the sword gleam getting further and further away. From the looks of it, Mo Qingyun's attack had been neutralized by him. However, before Zhou Jingyu could relax, another wave of spatial energy appeared in front of him. As this wave of nomological power appeared, the distance between him and the sword light was quickly shortened. Space compression. Zhou Jingyu shuddered when he saw this. He knew what was going on. Mo Qingyun had released the law of space compression to resist the law of space expansion and allow the might of the sword light to reappear. This is impossible. He is only at the early stage celestial domain realm. How could he comprehend the law of space? The more Zhou Jingyu thought about it, the more apprehensive he became. His fear of Mo Qingyun also intensified. Mo Qingyun was really strange. The power he was displaying wasn't something a celestial domain grade should possess. While Zhou Jingyu was still in shock, the sword light struck him and sent him flying. After being struck by Mo Qingyun's sword, one of Zhou Jingyu's arms was chopped off. The city lord is injured. That kid injured the city lord with a single strike. How? How is this possible? He is only at the early stage celestial domain realm. How can he have such power? If even the city lord isn't a match for him, we are definitely no match for him. What should we do now? Zhou Jingyu's serious injury caused his subordinates to panic all of a sudden. At this moment, while everyone was panicking, a powerful law of space suddenly appeared beside Yao Yu. Then, Yao Yu's body was imprisoned. Her pretty face was filled with shock. Space imprisonment. Yao Yu was shocked when she saw her situation. She knew what had happened. Immediately, she looked at Wang Zishu with a nervous expression. She saw a man in a black cloak dashing towards her at high speed. Qingyun, someone wants to take Zishu away. Hurry up and stop him. Yao Yu shuddered when she saw the black-cloaked person appear. Then, she hurriedly shouted at Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun was startled when he heard Yao Yu's call. He immediately gave up on pursuing Zhou Jingyu. In his opinion, killing Zhou Jingyu wouldn't affect the overall situation much. If Wang Zishu was captured, it would definitely be bad news for him. Door of Death. Looking at the black-cloaked person who was attacking Wang Zishu, Mo Qingyun pointed a finger at him without hesitation. A black light door appeared. The black light door appeared in a flash, trapping the black-cloaked person and attacking him with death energy. The black cloak person was immediately trapped by the death energy, unable to move an inch toward Wang Zishu. Space compression. After trapping the black cloak person, Mo Qingyun's figure flickered, arriving beside Wang Zishu. When Mo Qingyun reached Wang Zishu's side, he sent her to the Fortune mainland without hesitation. After doing all this, Mo Qingyun slashed out with his sword, shattering the space around Yao Yu. Bang! At this moment, the black-clothed man broke through the door of death and broke free from it. After escaping from the door of death, the black-cloaked person dared not hesitate and fled into the distance. Mo Qingyun didn't chase after the black-cloaked person. Instead, he said to Sure Wendy, "Grand Preceptor, don't fight. Let's go to the mediocre restaurant first." All right. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Sure Wendy immediately complied and flew towards the mediocre restaurant with Mo Qingyun. Above the mediocre restaurant, Mo Qingyun's face darkened as he roared, "Pan Yong, you treacherous bastard, get out here!" At Mo Qingyun's angry roar, the customers inside the mediocre restaurant walked out one after another. However, Pan Yong's figure did not appear for a long time. It seemed like he wasn't in the restaurant. "Let's go." Mo Qingyun didn't care about this result. This was enough for him. There was no hurry to deal with Pan Yong. He only needed to confirm that he was the one who leaked the secret. Under Mo Qingyun's command, the three of them left the fragrant cloud city, disappearing from everyone's sight. When Mo Qingyun's group left, the rooting tree's trunk opened and a group of people walked out. These people were very strong. All of them were quasi-space realm and above. The strongest three were space realm experts. Chapter 2683. Not long after, at the foot of a mountain, Mo Qingyun and the other two sat together with a heavy expression on their faces and their brows furrowed. It could be said that the trip to Shangyun City this time was extremely unsuccessful. Not only did they fail to rope in Pan Yong, but they also exposed themselves, which made it more inconvenient for them to do things in the future. I didn't expect Pan Yong to betray us. It's really unbelievable. Sure Wendy was exasperated at Pan Yong's failure to live up to his expectations. After saying those words of disappointment, he revealed an expression of self-blame and said, "This time, it was my negligence. I didn't pay attention to Pan Yong's change and didn't realize that he had defected to Wang Xiao. Master, you don't have to blame yourself too much. You can't be blamed for this." Mo Qingyun comforted Sure Wendy and said, "It's hard to know what's in a person's heart. No one has the ability to know what Pan Yong is thinking." With Mo Qingyun's comforting words, Sure Wendy's expression improved a little, but he still blamed himself. Yao Yu, who had been silent all this time, said, "If we really want to talk about it, it's quite fortunate that we saw through Pan Yong so early. That's right. If we had let him join us, the consequences would have been unimaginable." Thinking about Pan Yong, who had ulterior motives, hiding by their side, Sure Wendy felt a wave of lingering fear and said, "At that time, if he were to harm Princess Ishu, it would be too late for us to regret it." After hearing Sure Wendy's words, Mo Qingyun frowned and made a great discovery. He said, "If I'm not wrong, the black-clothed man who attacked Zishu before should be Pan Yong. His target seems to be Zishu." Indeed, as Sure Wendy thought about it, he also realized this point. Then, Sure Wendy's face showed confusion. He did not understand why Pan Yong would do this. After a while, Sure Wendy thought hard and made a terrifying discovery. He was secretly shocked and said, "Could it be that Pan Yong has ulterior motives? All these years, he has been anxiously looking for Princess Zishu, not to help Princess Zishu restore her country, but to harm Princess Zishu." When Sure Wendy thought of this, he felt that it was very possible, and he felt a lingering fear. Fortunately, Wang Zishu had met Mo Qingyun. If she had met Pan Yong, the consequences would have been unimaginable. After thinking things through, Sure Wendy took a deep breath and calmed his agitated heart. "Mr. Mo, What do you plan to do next? What should we do? Not thinking about Pan Yang's matter, Shi Wendy revealed an inquiring expression, asking for Mo Qingyun's instructions. Upon hearing Shi Wendy's question, Mo Qingyun pondered for a moment before replying. Since Wang Xiao and the others have already discovered our whereabouts, there's no need to continue hiding. Let's proceed with the decapitation plan. After knowing Mo Qingyun's plan, Shi Wendy's old face trembled. He knew that a bloody storm was coming. Let's go to the next city. Having decided to carry out the decapitation plan, Mo Qingyun did not waste any more time. He took out the Black Demon flying ship and hurried on. After entering the Black Demon flying ship, Shi Wendy continued to guide them to the next city. Actually, Wang Xiao and the others aren't scary. What's scary is the people behind them. On the way to the next city, Mo Qingyun told Shi Wendy and Yao Yu about his concerns. Upon hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Shi Wendy and Yao Yu were puzzled. They did not understand what he meant. Shi Wendy asked, puzzled, Mr. Mo, could it be that Wang Xiao and the others rebelled and seized power under someone else's orders? That's right. Mo Qingyun nodded and said in a deep voice, if my guess is correct, the people behind Wang Xiao and the others should be the Dark Demon race, who has revived from the ashes. Dark Demon race. Upon hearing Mo Qingyun's words, both Shi Wendy and Yao Yu were shocked. If there was a race in the vast starry sky that made people tremble in fear, it was undoubtedly the Dark Demon race. Although the Dark Demon race had been silent for a long time under the alliance of various forces, their fierce reputation still lingered. Now that they heard that they had made a comeback, how could Shi Wendy and Yao Yu not be shocked? Mr. Mo, this matter is of great importance. What evidence do you have? After a slight shock, Shi Wendy calmed down and hurriedly asked Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun was not surprised by Shi Wendy's reaction. With a solemn expression, he said, I once found a branch of the Dark Demon race on the galactic battlefield. They have connections with the Divine Wood Imperial family and the Blood Soul Imperial family. They're using the galactic war to collect the blood of various major races. Is there such a thing? Upon hearing Mo Qingyun's story, Shi Wendy and Yao Yu were shocked by this news. If that was the case, then it was undoubtedly the Dark Demon race. Without waiting for Shi Wendy and Yao Yu to recover from their shock, Mo Qingyun said with a solemn expression, not long ago, when the Divine Wood Prime Minister's residence invaded the Divine Heavenly Bull sect, a Dark Demon powerhouse accompanied them. After hearing Mo Qingyun say this, the doubts in Shi Wendy's heart completely disappeared. It seemed that the Dark Demon race had really made a comeback, and the vast starry sky was about to fall into chaos. I didn't expect there to be such a secret behind this. Shi Wendy sighed with emotion. His expression turned solemn as he said in a deep voice, it seems that the rebellion of Wang Xiao and the others is indeed related to the Dark Demon race. Back then, the late emperor once said that a mysterious force had invaded the Divine Wood Imperial Court. It must be the Dark Demon race. After talking with Mo Qingyun, all the doubts in Shi Wendy's heart were resolved. At that moment, as Mo Qingyun and the others were talking, they arrived in front of a city. This city was very strange. It was built in an ancient forest, and the houses were all strange tree houses. Looking at the city in front of him, Shi Wendy revealed a sorrowful expression and said, this elven city was originally inhabited by elves. Later, under the massacre of the Dark Demon race, the elves gradually became extinct, and this city was slowly abandoned. The fairy race? Hearing Shi Wendy's words, Mo Qingyun's expression was shocked, and a sense of curiosity arose. While he was feeling curious, he was also shocked. He was shocked by the brutality of the Dark Demon race. Directly exterminating an entire race was such a cruel and tyrannical act. Only the Dark Demon race would do such a thing. It was no wonder that they would provoke public anger and make all the forces join forces to exterminate them. Let's go in. Mo Qingyun and the other two stood in front of the city gate. After a simple exchange, they flew into the city. As they entered the city, their line of sight became dusky, blocked by numerous enormous ancient trees. Let's find a place to stay first. After flying in the city for a while, Mo Qingyun instructed the two of them and flew to a treehouse restaurant. When they arrived at the entrance of the restaurant, Mo Qingyun's expression froze as he looked at the two girls at the door. The appearance of these two girls was somewhat different from ordinary people. They had long ears and a pair of wings on their backs. Their appearance was no different from the extinct fairy race. Chapter 2684. Descendants of the Elf Clan. Looking at the two girls in front of him, Wendy was shocked. He could not believe what he was seeing. Hearing Wendy's words, Mo Qingyun was also shocked. He turned to look at Wendy and said, "Abbess, they are from the Elf Clan? Didn't you say that the Elf Clan was extinct? I don't know what's going on with the situation in front of me." Wendy shook his head with a confused expression. Looking at his appearance, he really did not know anything about the situation in front of him. After hearing Wendy's answer, Mo Qingyun did not ask any more questions and walked directly into the restaurant. To him, this was not something he should be concerned about. The extinction of the Elf Clan had nothing to do with him. After entering the restaurant, Mo Qingyun ordered some dishes and wine and sat down by a window. As Mo Qingyun and the others sat down, the conversation in the restaurant entered their ears. "Have you heard? Not long ago, the city lord announced the arrest of the princess of the previous dynasty. I didn't expect there to be survivors of the previous dynasty. This princess is really lucky. What's so strange about that? Even the Elf Clan has survivors. Keep your voices down. Those who have been speaking ill of the Elf Clan recently have all died." When the Elf Clan was mentioned, everyone showed lingering fear. Hearing the words of the people next to him, Mo Qingyun frowned and showed some surprise on his face. He said, "News spread really fast. I didn't expect news of Zishu to reach here in just half a day. Don't worry, it's just the news that has reached here. There won't be any actual action." Seeing Mo Qingyun's worried face, Wendy smiled at him and said, "The imperial court is not as efficient as you think. If my guess is correct, the news that Princess Zishu is still alive has not been found out by Wang Xiao and the others." "Oh." Hearing Wendy's words, the surprise on Mo Qingyun's face immediately became more intense. He said, "Abbess, you are more familiar with the divine wood imperial court. Analyze the situation for us." "All right." Hearing Mo Qingyun's request, Wendy nodded and said, "Based on my understanding of the divine wood imperial court, even if we officially launch a crusade, Wang Xiao and the others will not act immediately. At most, they will send some people to encircle and annihilate us, but our operation will be much more difficult." After hearing Wendy's words, Mo Qingyun's expression relaxed a little, and he began to think about what to do next. At this moment, a young man with an arrogant expression, surrounded by a group of people, arrived at the entrance of the treehouse restaurant. When the young man reached the door, he stopped and looked at the two girls at the door. She really is an elf. Although her bloodline isn't pure, she does have the bloodline of an elf. Looking at the two young ladies in front of him, the young man licked his lips as greed surged in his eyes. Seeing the young man's behavior, the people beside him immediately tried to curry favor with him. "Young city lord, the skin of these two elven girls is really smooth. If the two of them are brought back by the young city lord, they will definitely be grateful and will do their best to serve the young city lord. At that time, the young city lord will definitely be in ecstasy day and night." Words of flattery came from the mouths of the people next to him. Hearing the words of the people next to him, the smile on the young man's face became even more complacent. Seeing the arrival of the young man and the others, the shopkeeper of the treehouse restaurant greeted them with a respectful smile and said, "I didn't know that the young city lord Lan Yu was coming. I hope you can forgive me for not coming out to meet you. Don't talk to me about these useless things. I want to take these two girls away." Lan Yu ignored the shopkeeper's polite words and asked for them with a tough attitude. Hearing Lan Yu's request, the shopkeeper immediately showed a bitter expression and said, "Young city lord, these two elven girls were bought by me at a high price. If you take them away, I will find someone to solicit business. This is your problem. I don't need to think about it. Lanyu did not care about the shopkeeper's worries in the slightest. She sternly berated the shopkeeper and said, I'll take him away now. If you want him, just come directly to the city lord's mansion. After Lanyu said that, he ordered the people beside him to take the two elven girls away by force. When he saw Lanyu's actions, the shopkeeper's eyes turned cold, and he emitted a strong, killing intent. At the same time, a faintly discernible aura was emitted from his body. Universe grade. Mo Qingyun was startled when he sensed the shopkeeper's aura. His expression changed drastically. He had never imagined that the shopkeeper of the Treehouse restaurant would actually be a universe-grade powerhouse. Furthermore, based on the shopkeeper's aura, he was very likely a mid-level universe-grade powerhouse. The shopkeeper frowned when he sensed Mo Qingyun's gaze and immediately restrained his aura. Immediately, his gaze softened and he nodded at the few people upstairs. The few people who received the hint immediately disappeared and quietly followed behind Lanyu and the others. Everyone in the Treehouse restaurant was envious when they saw Lanyu abduct the two elven girls. Young City Lord Lanyu is really domineering. He actually dares to have designs on the elven girls. Yes, bullying the elven girls will lead to a huge crisis. Crisis? Would young City Lord Lanyu be afraid of this? If he was, he wouldn't be playful Lanyu. That's true. No one in the City of Elves can do anything to him. Everyone was talking at once. Mo Qingyun didn't interrupt as he listened to everyone's conversation. He only looked at the shopkeeper with interest. He had a feeling that the shopkeeper wasn't simple and had a close relationship with the two elven girls. What surprised Mo Qingyun was that while he was sizing up the shopkeeper actually walked over with a jar of wine and said, Young man, this is the secret elven brew that our restaurant has developed. Are you interested in tasting it? Sure. Mo Qingyun nodded his head without hesitation in response to the shopkeeper's question. Soon after, the shopkeeper poured each of them a bowl and let them taste it. When he saw Mo Qingyun take a sip, the shopkeeper smiled faintly and asked, How does this secret elven brew taste? Is there anything that can be improved? It's very strong and spicy. It would be good if it could be softer. When he heard the shopkeeper's question, Mo Qingyun expressed his feelings without reservation. After hearing Mo Qingyun's evaluation, the shopkeeper nodded his head with a smile and said, Young master is someone who understands wine. Our restaurant still has many good wines. If young master doesn't mind, you can follow me to the cabinet to continue tasting. Seeing the shopkeeper's actions, Mo Qingyun frowned and vaguely guessed the shopkeeper's intentions. Chapter 2685. In that case, I won't stand on ceremony. Understanding the shopkeeper's intentions, Mo Qingyun didn't refuse and readily agreed. The manager nodded his head approvingly when he saw Mo Qingyun's straightforward attitude and gestured for him to enter. Then, under everyone's envious gazes, Mo Qingyun followed the shopkeeper into the inner hall. That kid is really lucky. He actually had the honor of tasting fine wine for free. Lower your voice. The two people beside that kid are at least quasi-universe grades. It seems like that kid's background and identity are much more powerful than Lanyu's. The people around them lowered their voices when they sensed Shi Wendy and Luo Yunyang's aura. Then, they looked at Mo Qingyun with envy in their eyes. Not only was he accompanied by powerhouses, but he was also accompanied by beautiful women. Now, he was even getting to taste fine wine. The so-called winner in life should be someone like Mo Qingyun. They entered the inner chamber. The manager pointed to a chair and smiled at Mo Qingyun. Young master, please wait for a moment. I'll get you some wine. All right. Mo Qingyun nodded and sat down on the chair. In a short while, the manager brought out the wine and poured a cup for Mo Qingyun. Young master, try this wine again and see how it tastes. It's mellow and has a rich aftertaste. This is a rare fine wine. Mo Qingyun put down the wine cup and gave a fair evaluation. He smiled at the manager and said, Manager, you didn't ask me to come over just to taste wine, right? The manager's expression changed when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. He hadn't expected Mo Qingyun to be so direct. Mo Qingyun didn't mind the manager's surprise. He picked up the wine jug and poured another cup. If you're just inviting me to taste wine, you'll be making a huge loss by letting me drink such fine wine for free. You must be joking, young master. It's just a few cups of wine. The shopkeeper smiled faintly and replied to Mo Qingyun, "If young master is willing, you can come and have a taste at any time." Mo Qingyun drank by himself, not in a hurry to reply. Seeing that Mo Qingyun didn't speak, the shopkeeper didn't care and continued, "To tell you the truth, young master, this old man is a descendant of the forest elves. Recently, I discovered that many dark demons had appeared on the Divine Wood continent, so I wanted to kill them to avenge the extermination of my clan. It's just that after our investigation, we discovered that they are very powerful, so I want to find a powerful helper. So, I'm your helper?" Hearing the shopkeeper's words, Mo Qingyun's face was filled with surprise. Mo Qingyun didn't expect that the innkeeper had invited him in to taste the wine because he wanted him to be his assistant. Seeing Mo Qingyun's surprise, the shopkeeper nodded without hiding it. "Young master, you want to overthrow the Divine Wood Imperial Court and restore the country for the princess of the previous dynasty. Our enemies are the same, so why don't we work together? You actually know my identity. It seems that you have a lot of spies." Hearing the shopkeeper's words, Mo Qingyun was shocked again. He was very surprised by the other party's means. At this moment, he suddenly realized that the remaining strength of the elves was not weak. Otherwise, how could the shopkeeper of a restaurant know about their situation in such a short time? However, Mo Qingyun thought about it again and felt relieved. The elves were a 3-star force at their peak, so it was normal for them to have some foundation. After calming down from the shock in his heart, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly. "Shopkeeper, our enemy is different. Your enemy is the dark demons. They are not something the Divine Wood Imperial Court can compare to." The shopkeeper did not deny Mo Qingyun's words. The situation was indeed so. Without waiting for the shopkeeper to speak, Mo Qingyun continued, "In addition, I want to remind you that the Dark Demon's forces are not limited to the Divine Wood continent. They're much more powerful than you know." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the shopkeeper's expression turned solemn. He quickly asked for advice. "Young master, please enlighten me. This old man will be very grateful." Under the shopkeeper's nervous gaze, Mo Qingyun pondered for a moment and said, "If my guess is correct, the force that controls the Wood Source Galaxy and the Blood Soul Galaxy is only a branch of the Dark Demons. I'm not very clear about their specific forces at present. A centipede dies, but does not fall over." After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the shopkeeper could not help but sigh. His expression suddenly became solemn. Obviously, the news brought by Mo Qingyun had put a lot of pressure on him. If what Mo Qingyun said was true, it would be very difficult for them to deal with the Dark Demons. A small branch was already too much for them to deal with, not to mention the more powerful headquarters behind them. To put it bluntly, fighting against the Dark Demons was like hitting a rock with an egg. Looking at the heavy expression on the shopkeeper's face, Mo Qingyun smiled meaningfully. He suddenly changed the topic and said, "Although the Dark Demons are powerful, coincidentally, my ultimate enemy is also the Dark Demons. I am willing to cooperate with you." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the shopkeeper was stunned. This change was too fast. He originally thought that Mo Qingyun would not cooperate with him. He did not expect such a reversal. Although he was surprised, seeing that Mo Qingyun was willing to cooperate, the shopkeeper immediately became happy. He said excitedly, "Young master, if you have any orders, this old man will do his best to cooperate with you. Not for the time being. I will contact you if I need anything." In response to the shopkeeper's request, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and waved his hand. Mo Qingyun was also very happy to be able to cooperate with the forest elves. He did not expect that he would get such a helper by casually walking into a restaurant. This unexpected gain improved his mood a lot. With the help of the forest elves, it would be much easier to deal with the divine with imperial court. In order to show my sincerity, I will go to the city lord's mansion first and take down the city of elves for you. After confirming the cooperation with the elves, Imo Qingyun stood up and said to the shopkeeper, "Let's go." Hearing Imo Qingyun's words, the shopkeeper showed a surprised expression and said, "Young master, are you going to the city lord's mansion just like that and start a war with them?" "That's right." In response to the shopkeeper's words, Imo Qingyun nodded firmly and said with a faint smile, "Our identities have been exposed. There's no point in continuing to hide. It's not a big deal to fight them head-on. Get ready to take over the city of elves." After Imo Qingyun said this, he walked out of the inner pavilion. It seems that I didn't misjudge this time. I found a strong helper. Looking at Imo Qingyun's back, the shopkeeper showed a bright smile and followed him out of the cabinet. Chapter 2686. Let's go to the city lord mansion. After leaving the inner pavilion, Imo Qingyun left some instructions for Shi Wendy and Li Qiye before walking out of the restaurant. Upon hearing Imo Qingyun's words, Shi Wendy and Luo Yunyang immediately understood and followed behind Imo Qingyun. They believed that Imo Qingyun was heading to the city lord mansion to execute the decapitation plan. What is that kid doing at the city lord mansion? Is he going to seek refuge at the city lord mansion? I don't think so. He was invited by the shopkeeper and decided to head to the city lord mansion. Could it be that they are heading to the city lord mansion to stand up for the shopkeeper? Does this mean that there will be a good show to watch soon? Everyone was talking at once. They all looked expectant and immediately rushed to the city lord's mansion. Imo Qingyun didn't care about the people following behind him. He just headed to the city lord mansion unhurriedly. In a short while, Imo Qingyun and the other two arrived at the city lord mansion and attracted the attention of many people. Bang, bang, bang. Imo Qingyun had just arrived at the city lord mansion when he heard the sounds of an intense battle coming from within. While the sounds of battle were heard, a strong spatial, nomological power swept out from the city lord mansion. Complete spatial, nomological laws. There is a universe-grade powerhouse in the city lord mansion. Sensing the power of the laws of space, Imo Qingyun's expression shook and a trace of shock appeared on his face. He hadn't expected that there would be a universe-grade powerhouse in the city lord mansion of the elf city. From what he knew, although the divine wood court was stronger than the divine heavenly bull sect, it wouldn't be by much. But now, the city lords of these two cities were actually universe-grade powerhouses that were far stronger than Guangping and the others. This was too abnormal. In this way, the difference in strength between the divine heavenly bull sect and the divine wood court wasn't small at all. Imo Qingyun was puzzled by this discovery. That's strange. How did the cultivation bases of these city lords break through to the universe grade? Hearing Imo Qingyun's words, Shi Wendy's brows furrowed tightly. He was also puzzled as he asked, just what is the reason for these people's strength to soar? What happened in the past few decades? Seeing that Shi Wendy was also puzzled, Imo Qingyun didn't ask him. He guessed the reason for this situation and said, "If I'm not wrong, the sudden increase in strength of these people should be related to the Dark Devil race. They forcefully raised their cultivation by planting the power of their bloodline. Planting bloodlines can increase one's cultivation?" Shi Wendy was even more puzzled by Imo Qingyun's conjecture. One has to comprehend space laws in order to break through to the universe grade. Planting a bloodline wouldn't achieve this, right? That's the strange part. Imo Qingyun nodded gravely in response to Shi Wendy's puzzlement. There's no need to think too much about it. We'll know when I capture the city lord of Spirit City and seize his memories. Hearing Imo Qingyun's words, Shi Wendy's expression immediately trembled. His thoughts were shocked. Imo Qingyun's way of doing things was really overbearing. That's the only way. Although Imo Qingyun's methods were unyielding, Shi Wendy had to admit that this was the most effective method. At this moment, while Imo Qingyun and Imo Qingyun were talking, several figures flew out. It's them. Mo Qingyun's eyes narrowed when he saw those figures. He recognized them. These people were the ones who had been instructed by the shopkeeper to rescue the two girls. Save them. Mo Qingyun didn't want to wait any longer after recognizing those people. He immediately got Sure Wendy and Sure Wendy to take action. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he took the lead and rushed out to stop the people from the city lord's estate who were chasing after them. Thank you, young master. The few forest elves immediately thanked Mo Qingyun when they saw Mo Qingyun step in to help. Mo Qingyun didn't respond to their gratitude. He just slashed forward with his sword. A golden sword light shot out when Mo Qingyun brandished his sword and turned into a crescent-shaped airwave. A celestial domain-grade brat actually dares to meddle in other people's business. He must have a death wish. Brat, I think you must be tired of living. How dare you meddle in the city lord mansion's business? The people from the city lord mansion who had chased after Mo Qingyun immediately shouted angrily when they saw him step in to stop them. These people roared angrily and attacked Mo Qingyun one after another, casting their divine powers at him. They simply ignored the sword light that Mo Qingyun had unleashed and didn't even put up a basic defense. In their opinion, given their quasi-universe grade cultivation, they would be fine if they took on Mo Qingyun's sword head-on. PFFF. PFFF. As the sword light swept past, a bright red mist of blood sprayed out and dyed the light red. The people from the city lord mansion were all cut in half at the waist by the sword light. Seeing such a scene, the surrounding people were all stunned. One sword strike had crippled the bodies of several quasi-universe grade powerhouses. This kind of combat power was really frightening. Even a universe-grade powerhouse wouldn't be able to do this. That brat is really strong. This isn't just strong. He's sick. Who exactly is this brat? Could he be a genius from a 3-star power? Everyone was discussing softly, curious about Mo Qingyun's identity. While everyone was discussing softly, the few people from the forest elf tribe came out with a look of surprise. They didn't expect that the young man who saved them would be so strong. In this way, their lives wouldn't be in danger. This brat is so strong. Let's retreat. While everyone was still in shock, the people who had their bodies cut in half immediately fled into the city lord mansion. Seeing that these people were preparing to escape, Mo Qingyun's face turned cold, and he slashed at them again. Mo Qingyun's sword strike was stronger and faster than the previous one. In the blink of an eye, the sword light approached those people and wanted to kill them. Stop! A burly man shouted angrily at Mo Qingyun as the sword light neared the group of people. This person was the city lord of the city of elves, Lan Shur. When Lan Shur yelled at Mo Qingyun, he didn't forget to block the sword light and save the people from the city lord mansion. What surprised Lan Shur was that the fish shadow that he blasted at the sword light had no effect on the sword light at all. Bang, bang, bang. Following that, Lan Shur saw the bodies of several subordinates directly explode from the sword light. When a few people's bodies exploded, their essence spirits were annihilated too. Their divine souls were instantly destroyed. Seeing this scene, the surroundings fell silent. At this moment, everyone's gazes towards Mo Qingyun were filled with a strong sense of awe. One sword strike killed several quasi-universe rel powerhouses. This young man's strength was too terrifying. What an arrogant brat! Seeing Mo Qingyun kill his subordinates in a domineering manner, Lan Shur yelled angrily, "Brat, I'm going to kill you today to establish my might and let people know who's the master of this city of elves." Chapter 2687. That's great. I want to practice on you and get used to my recently improved strength. Mo Qingyun was not afraid of the blue lion's attack at all. He shouted coldly and took the initiative to meet the attack. When Mo Qingyun charged at the blue lion, he swept the 9-bull divine sword and blasted out a purple mist-like sword ray. What a powerful aura! Sensing the sword ray's aura, the blue lion's expression trembled and revealed a look of shock. Only then did he realize that the boy in front of him was not so easy to deal with. Wild Lion shakes the galaxy. Faced with the purple sword raise attack, the blue lion did not retreat at all. He immediately roared at the sky. As the blue lion roared, a huge lion shadow quickly condensed outside his body. Roar! When the lion shadow finished condensing, it opened its mouth and roared, spitting out a terrifying saint power. The saint power gushed out and turned into a huge storm, swallowing the purple mist-like sword ray. However, to the blue lion's surprise, the purple mist-like sword ray's attack did not weaken at all in the face of his divine power. This boy's divine power can't be defended against. After encountering such situations one after another, the blue lion quickly realized that Mo Qingyun's sword technique was not right. Immediately, he hurriedly retreated to avoid the purple mist-like sword ray's attack. Although the blue lion avoided it, the city governor's mansion could not avoid it and was instantly hit by the purple mist-like sword ray. Boom! A loud sound was heard. The huge city governor's mansion was razed to the ground in the blink of an eye. When the city governor's mansion was razed to the ground, the people inside the mansion escaped one after another. However, although they managed to escape, they were all heavily injured. The two girls are over there. As the city governor's mansion was razed to the ground, the two captured elven girls appeared in front of Mo Qingyun. Under Mo Qingyun's sword, the two of them were also injured, but their lives were not in danger. Space compression. Seeing the two girls, Mo Qingyun released the law of space and appeared in front of them in a flash. Arriving in front of the two girls, Mo Qingyun waved his hand and killed the guards beside them. Follow me. After killing a few city guards, Mo Qingyun raised his hands and placed them on the two girls' shoulders. Soon after, Mo Qingyun's figure moved and brought the two women back to their original spot. Seeing that the young girl had been rescued, the forest elves immediately revealed joyful expressions and said gratefully, "Young master, thank you for saving Jinlan and Bu. Oh, there's no need for such formalities." In response to their gratitude, Mo Qingyun waved his hand indifferently and said, "Their injuries are not light. Take them away first and treat them." Yes. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the forest elves left with the two girls. Blue Lion's face was as black as ink when he saw the forest elves leave. He shouted angrily, "Imph! How can I let you leave so easily after causing trouble in my city lord's mansion?" Space imprisonment. Blue Lion roared angrily. He stretched out his palm and released an astonishing amount of the law of space. Soon after, the space around the forest elves was imprisoned by the law of space. Seeing such a scene, their expressions trembled, and intense fear appeared on their faces. With their abilities, they could not break the law of space. This way, they would be trapped until they were captured again. I hope that young master has a way to break Blue Lion's law of space imprisonment. After a moment of anxiety, they looked expectantly at Mo Qingyun. Seeing that they were looking at him, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate and slashed his sword in front of them. Sky-piercing. As Mo Qingyun swung his sword, a domineering force blasted out along with the sword light. Soon, the sword light slashed in front of them and split the space in front of them. Bang! As the space was split open, Blue Lion's law of space imprisonment was also defeated. Seeing that the law of space imprisonment was broken, the forest elves were overjoyed and immediately fled toward the treehouse restaurant. As they fled, the surrounding onlookers were stunned by Mo Qingyun's performance. What kind of sword cultivator is this kid? His sword moves are too terrifying. His sword seems to contain some kind of terrifying power that can cut through the law of space. Not just cut through the law of space, but even the space itself was split open. Seeing Mo Qingyun's strength, intense fear emerged in everyone's eyes as they looked at him. This kind of powerful combat strength was too terrifying. Compared to the others' fear, Blue Lion's expression became serious when he saw Mo Qingyun's strength. He thought to himself, although this kid is not a Universe Realm elite, his strength is not any weaker than a Universe Realm elite. He is a terrifying opponent. Since we have rescued them, We can focus on dealing with you. After watching the forest elves leave, Mo Qingyun turned his head to look at the blue lion, a cold glint in his eyes. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he instructed Shi, Wendy, and Luo Yu, "Leave this person to me. You two deal with the others." Okay. Hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, Shi, Wendy, and Luo Yu responded and went to deal with Lan Yu and the others. Among Lan Yu and the others, the one with the strongest cultivation was only at the quasi-universe realm. Moreover, they had suffered serious injuries under Mo Qingyun's sword. With Shi, Wendy, and Luo Yu's strength, dealing with them was too easy. "Kid, you are too arrogant." Blue Lion shouted angrily when he saw that Mo Qingyun wanted to deal with him alone. As his words fell, a terrifying bloodline power erupted from his body. The fusion of bloodlines is indeed a technique of the dark demon race. Sensing the aura of Blue Lion's bloodline, Mo Qingyun's face turned cold. The guess in his heart had been answered. His guess was right. Blue Lion's cultivation breakthrough was indeed related to the planting of a bloodline. Mo Qingyun was slightly surprised. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Although you planted a bloodline, the strength of the bloodline you planted is too far away from Zi Wang's bloodline. Even Zi Wang is not my match, so you are not worth mentioning. As soon as Mo Qingyun's words fell, his figure flashed, and he took the initiative to charge towards Blue Lion. Spatial door. As he charged towards Blue Lion, Mo Qingyun used the spatial door to increase his strength. Soon, a faintly discernible door of light appeared above him. After the spatial door was formed, it entered his body. Immediately, a mysterious power of the law of space was born in Mo Qingyun's body. The law of space compression. Sensing the power of the law of space in his body, Mo Qingyun felt a sense of surprise. He did not expect that he would obtain the law of space compression by using the law of space. In this way, he had double the law of space compression, which made him look forward to it. Chapter 2688. Spatial compression. As he rushed towards the Blue Lion, Mo Qingyun's left palm blasted out and released the spatial compression law. As the spatial compression law descended, the Blue Lion immediately felt oppressed, as if he was being squeezed by space. Spatial imprisonment. Upon seeing this, the Blue Lion didn't dare be careless. He immediately released the spatial compression law to resist. As the Blue Lion released the spatial imprisonment law, the feeling of space being squeezed was immediately greatly alleviated. "I knew you had this trick up your sleeve." The corners of Mo Qingyun's mouth curled into a smile when he saw the Blue Lion's performance. Then, he waved his left palm and released another layer of the spatial compression law. Bang! Another layer of the spatial compression law descended, and the spatial imprisonment law released by the Blue Lion was immediately crushed. As the spatial imprisonment law was broken, the power of the dual spatial compression law landed on the Blue Lion's body. Puffed. The Blue Lion's face flushed, and he spat out a mouthful of blood after being suppressed by the dual spatial compression law. Then, his body started to deform rapidly under the dual spatial compression law. Spatial compression law. He actually comprehended the spatial compression law. How do you do it? Is this kid really a celestial domain grade? If he can comprehend the spatial compression law at the celestial domain grade, how impressive will it be when he breaks through to the space boundary? Not only did he comprehend the spatial compression law, but he also comprehended 2 layers of the spatial compression law. Can the spatial compression law be repeatedly comprehended? Why have I never heard of it before? It wasn't before, but it is now. This kid has broken the rules of cultivation. Everyone was shocked when they saw Mo Qingyun's performance. They were even more in awe of Mo Qingyun. Even the rules of cultivation in the world of cultivation were broken by him. This kind of performance was too frightening. Boom! As everyone watched in shock, the Blue Lion's body finally couldn't bear the burden and was crushed by the dual spatial compression law. As his body was crushed, the blue lion's primordial spirit was terrified and his body started to tremble. Given his current state, it would be easy for Mo Qingyun to kill him if he wanted to. Just as the blue lion was panicking, the surrounding spatial compression law force suddenly disappeared. However, before he could rejoice, Mo Qingyun's figure moved and appeared in front of him. Kid, what do you want? If you kill me, you will be going against the Divine Wood Imperial Court. Seeing Mo Qingyun in front of him, the blue lion's primordial spirit was terrified and warned Mo Qingyun. Hearing Lan Shi's words, Mo Qingyun grinned and said, "You're really not doing a good job as the city lord. You issued an order to capture me in the city, but now you don't even know who I am. You're really a failure. You're the traitor, Mo Qingyun." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Blue Lion's body trembled as he guessed Mo Qingyun's identity. Soon after, his pupils shrank as the fear he felt towards Mo Qingyun grew even stronger. Mo Qingyun wanted to assist Wang Zishu in reviving her country, which made him an enemy of Wang Xiao and the others. How could he be afraid of them? I'm a rebel? Mo Qingyun couldn't help but laugh when he heard how the Blue Lion addressed him. In his opinion, Blue Lion's words were the biggest joke in the world. However, Mo Qingyun didn't care. He raised his hand and grabbed Blue Lion's primordial spirit, saying, "Since you know who I am, then accept your death obediently. Use your blood as a sacrifice for my execution. Don't kill me." Seeing Mo Qingyun's attack, Blue Lion's body trembled as he begged Mo Qingyun loudly. Even though he had acted extremely domineering earlier, he would still feel fear when faced with death. However, Mo Qingyun chose to ignore his pleas. In his eyes, anyone who worked for Wang Xiao would be his enemy. Blue Lion wasn't the first, nor would he be the last. Faced with Mo Qingyun's attack, Blue Lion saw that his pleas were futile, so he retaliated. Unfortunately, even when he was at his peak, he was no match for Mo Qingyun, let alone that he was only left with a primordial spirit now. Under Mo Qingyun's attack, Blue Lion's primordial spirit was instantly captured. His life and death fell into Mo Qingyun's hands. Demonic ice soul stealing. After Mo Qingyun captured Blue Lion, he executed a divine ability and forcibly stripped the memories in his head. A terrifying soul power erupted from Mo Qingyun's eyes, turning into a massive black eyeball. Under this black eyeball, Blue Lion's face was ashen, his gaze becoming dull. Before long, Blue Lion's primordial spirit dissipated, dying under Mo Qingyun's seizure of his memories. Looks like I underestimated the Dark Devil race. They can actually plant law power. Stripping Blue Lion's memories, Mo Qingyun had a clear answer to the confusion in his heart. After so many years of research, the Dark Devil race's planting methods had made great progress. At this moment, not only could they plant bloodlines, but they could also plant law power. Not only that, but their technology had not stopped. They were still researching even stronger planting methods. This discovery frightened Mo Qingyun quite a bit. He was even more fearful of the Dark Devil race. The only thing that made him feel fortunate was that there was only one chance to plant law power. Moreover, once the law power was planted, one's cultivation would not be able to advance. Otherwise, if the Dark Devil race were to continue, which force could contend against them? Although they could not plant law power multiple times, the Dark Devil race relied on this method to cultivate a terrifying strength. Looks like my battle with the Dark Devil race still has a long way to go. Thinking of the Dark Devil race's strength, Mo Qingyun could not help but sigh. He felt a great pressure. However, even though he was under immense pressure, he was even more motivated to fight. In Mo Qingyun's seizure of Blue Lion's memories, the battle between Wendy and Mo Qingyun had ended. They had killed all the people in the City Lord's mansion. Since the City Lord's mansion has been destroyed, we should leave this place. After Mo Qingyun said this, he didn't want to stay any longer and immediately rushed to the Treehouse restaurant. Mo Qingyun had just arrived outside the treehouse restaurant when the shopkeeper and the others came up to him and said gratefully, "Young master, it's all thanks to you this time. Otherwise, Jinlan and Bu would have been in danger." "You're welcome." Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and waved his hand in response to everyone's words of gratitude. "Since we are in an alliance, this is my duty. Now that the City Lord's mansion has been destroyed, I should leave this place. Is there a problem with you taking care of the aftermath?" "This is a small matter. There is no problem." In response to Mo Qingyun's question, the shopkeeper smiled nonchalantly and said, "Previously, we were afraid of exposing our identities, so we did not take action. Since we're going to take action now, what do we have to be afraid of?" Chapter 2689. "That's good." Mo Qingyun nodded in satisfaction. After learning about the situation of the elves, Mo Qingyun thought for a moment and said to the shopkeeper, "Don't worry, I will continue to flatten the other cities and distract the attention of the Divine Wood Imperial Court." Mo Qingyun's plan made the shopkeeper happy, and the worries in his heart lessened. At that time, the cities would be destroyed one after another, and the Divine Wood Imperial Court would not have the time to pay attention to the City of Elves. What they needed to do was to strengthen the defenses of the intact cities and set up traps to wait for Mo Qingyun. Time is of the essence. Let's destroy some more cities while the Divine Wood Imperial Court is still unprepared. After talking with the shopkeeper for a while, Mo Qingyun did not want to delay any longer and was ready to take action immediately. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the shopkeeper nodded knowingly and said, "Young master, go ahead and attack those cities. Leave the finishing work of controlling the cities to us." "Okay." Mo Qingyun immediately nodded and agreed to the shopkeeper's request. In this way, he could also save some trouble and weaken the strength of the Divine Wood Imperial Court at a faster speed. "In that case, we'll take our leave." After discussing with the shopkeeper, Mo Qingyun took out the black demon flying ship and left with Sure Windy and the others. After Mo Qingyun and the others left, the elves began to take action and took over the City of Elves. Although the elves' actions made some people dissatisfied, they gave in when they thought of Mo Qingyun's strength. Outside the City of Elves, "Mr. Mo, what if the elves take over the city and directly occupy it?" After coming out of the City of Elves, Sure Windy had a worried expression as he asked Mo Qingyun about how to deal with it. Regarding Sure Windy's concerns, Mo Qingyun smiled indifferently and said, "If they dare to do so, I'll let them experience the process of the Divine Wood Imperial Court being destroyed." After receiving Mo Qingyun's answer, Sure Windy realized that his worries were unnecessary. Looking at Mo Qingyun's reaction, he seemed to have already thought of how to deal with this situation. Although Sure Windy didn't quite agree with Mo Qingyun's overbearing actions, he had to admit that this was the most direct and effective method. After talking with Sure Windy, Mo Qingyun frowned and said, "Although we're not worried about the elves occupying the city, we still have to be on guard. Otherwise, it would be a waste of time and effort to fight again." "That's true." Sure Windy nodded in agreement with Mo Qingyun's concern. He then revealed a curious expression and said, "If that's the case, do you have any ideas to prevent such a hidden danger from appearing? At the moment, I can't guarantee that my method will work, but I can give it a try." Hearing Sure Windy's question, Mo Qingyun gave a simple answer and said, "I'm going to find Ma Wenguang. If I can get his help and let him deal with the aftermath for us, that would be the best." "That's indeed a good idea." Knowing Mo Qingyun's idea, Sure Windy immediately expressed his agreement and said, "Although Panyong's matter has made us a little passive, we can't give up the entire forest for a tree. It's worth it to rope in Ma Wenguang for help. In that case, we'll go find Ma Wenguang's base and destroy the cities of the Divine Wood Imperial Court along the way." Seeing that Sure Windy agreed with his decision, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and immediately told Sure Windy, "Master, you determine the route. We'll rush there as fast as we can." "Okay." Sure Windy immediately nodded in agreement with Mo Qingyun's instructions. Next, Mo Qingyun quickly rushed to Ma Wenguang's base under Wendy's guidance. About a day later, with Mo Qingyun and the other two hurrying along, they came to a city and stopped moving forward. What surprised Mo Qingyun and the other two was that as soon as they arrived at the city, they saw many people standing outside the city. It seems that my whereabouts have been discovered. Someone is waiting for us here. Looking at the lineup in front of him, Mo Qingyun sneered and released a chill from his body. This was the best. He could directly take care of the other party and save himself the trouble. Master, is that you? Seeing the arrival of Mo Qingyun and the other two, a middle-aged man in a python robe greeted them with a smile. Hearing the middle-aged man's words, Wendy's expression froze. He immediately recognized him and said, "So, it's King of Beixian. Are you going to encircle and annihilate us?" I wouldn't dare. In response to Wendy's question, King of Beixian quickly waved his hand and showed a humble attitude. He said, "You still don't know my character. I'm not the kind of person who rebels against his superiors. If it weren't for my remote location, I would have done my best to protect the late emperor." King of Beixian's words made Mo Qingyun and the other two look at each other. They did not understand what he meant. Seeing that Mo Qingyun and the other two were silent, King of Beixian did not beat around the bush. He said, "The three of you, I'm here to welcome you. I don't mean anything else. I just want to confirm if Princess Zishu is really alive. If she is, I'm willing to do my best to assist her in restoring her country. You want to surrender to us?" Hearing King of Beixian's idea, Wendy's expression froze. He was a little surprised by this situation. In his opinion, the current strength of the divine Wood Imperial Court was obviously much stronger than theirs. It was not a wise move for King of Beixian to surrender to them now. However, although King of Beixian's move was not wise, it also showed his sincerity. That's right. King of Beixian did not hide from Wendy's inquiry. He nodded truthfully and said, "If Princess Zishu is really alive, I'm willing to do my best to assist you in dealing with the Imperial Court. Although I'm not strong, I can help you a little." Hearing King of Beixian's words, Mo Qingyun and the other two exchanged a look, hesitating whether to believe him or not. After experiencing Pan Yong's incident, they had become more cautious and instinctively took more precautions. "Mr. Mo, in my opinion, we should trust him this time. We can't kill everyone at once." Wendy hesitated for a moment. He suggested to Mo Qingyun that he should give King of Beixian a chance. Hearing Wendy's words, Mo Qingyun nodded and decided to trust King of Beixian this time. If King of Beixian was sincere about surrendering, it would definitely be a good thing. Immediately, Mo Qingyun raised his hand and waved, bringing Wang Zishu to his side. Seeing Wang Zishu's appearance, King of Beixian's expression immediately changed. He recognized Wang Zishu. "Greetings, Princess Zishu." King of Beixian had a respectful look on his face. He quickly bowed to Wang Zishu and said, "I didn't know you were coming. Please forgive me for not welcoming you." When King of Beixian knelt down, the people in front of the city gate also knelt down and opened the city gate. Seeing such a scene, Wang Zishu hesitated and became wary of King of Beixian. Chapter 2690. Wang Zishu hesitated for a moment, then looked at Mo Qingyun, asking for his opinion. Seeing Wang Zishu looking at him, Mo Qingyun nodded at her, indicating that he could trust King Beixian. "King Beixian, you're exaggerating." Receiving Mo Qingyun's hint, Wang Zishu immediately understood. She helped King Beixian up and said, "In front of you, I'm just a junior. I don't deserve such respect. Everyone, you must be tired from the journey. Please take a rest in the city." After talking with Mo Qingyun and the others, King Beixian invited them to take a rest in the city. Receiving King Beixian's invitation, Mo Qingyun and the others exchanged a look, then followed him into the city. After activating the second superpower of Nine-Bowl Sword, Mo Qingyun was not afraid that King Beixian would set up a formation to trap them. The second superpower of Nine-Bull Sword could break the space domineeringly. Ordinary formations were useless against it. Although he was not worried about the formation traps, Emo Qingyun was not careless. He still released his soul power to sense the surroundings. In case there were strong enemies lying in ambush, he could be prepared in advance and would not be too passive. It seems that I'm overthinking. King Beixian is sincere. Emo Qingyun didn't find anything out of the ordinary after probing for a while. His expression relaxed a little. After a while, under King Beixian's lead, they came to a huge palace. Order people to prepare wine and dishes. After bringing everyone to the palace, King Beixian directly ordered people to serve wine and delicacies. Not long after, delicacies that looked, smelled, and tasted good were served to everyone. Your Highness, these are your favorite dishes in the past. Seeing the wine and dishes being served, King Beixian smiled faintly and greeted Wang Zishu. Hearing King Beixian's words, Wang Zishu nodded and ate a little. After greeting Wang Zishu, King Beixian greeted Emo Qingyun and the others with great enthusiasm. After a while, everyone became more familiar with each other after toasting each other. Mr. Emo, compared to your talent, the so-called unparalleled divine wood is trash. After they talked for a while, King Beixian picked up his wine glass and said a few flattering words to Emo Qingyun. I believe that under your leadership, we can definitely bring down Wang Shao. You flatter me, King Beixian. Emo Qingyun was not moved by King Beixian's flattery. He responded indifferently and said, King Beixian, since you have surrendered to Zishu, why don't you tell us how you plan to help her restore her kingdom? Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Lord Beixian and the others were shocked. They did not expect Emo Qingyun to be so direct. After pondering for a moment, Lord Beixian's expression became serious. He said, although I'm only a lord with a different surname, I have also developed some forces on the Divine Wood continent. I am confident that I can overthrow 10 cities of the Divine Wood Imperial Court within half a month. 10 cities. Hearing King Beixian's words, Emo Qingyun was a little surprised. He was a little surprised by his words. From the looks of it, this Lord of Beixian was quite capable. He had cultivated such a force without anyone noticing. It seems that this King Beixian is also ambitious. It seems that I have to guard against him. Surprised by King Beixian's ability, Emo Qingyun raised his vigilance to guard against any unusual moves. In his opinion, an ambitious person would not be willing to be a subject forever. King Beixian was willing to surrender now, but it did not mean that he would always be like this. Would he not be like Wang Shao one day? Of course, at this stage, Emo Qingyun did not have to worry about this. Emo Qingyun thought for a moment. Then he turned to look at King Beixian and said, King Beixian, tell us about the 10 cities you control first, lest we destroy the cities you control when we destroy the forces of the Divine Wood Imperial Court. Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, King Beixian was immediately shocked and quickly told him about the cities he controlled. If the cities he controlled were destroyed by Emo Qingyun, he would really be wronged. After knowing the cities controlled by King Beixian, Emo Qingyun looked at Shi Wendy and asked, Abbess, are there any cities controlled by King Beixian on our route? There are no cities controlled by King Beixian on our route. Understanding Emo Qingyun's meaning, Shi Wendy immediately answered. After figuring this out, Mo Qingyun nodded and raised his cup to King Beixian, saying, in that case, I hope we can cooperate happily and work together to get rid of Wang Shao and the others. Seeing Emo Qingyun raise his cup, King Beixian and the others raised their cups and toasted Emo Qingyun together. Following that, Emo Qingyun and the others began to discuss the details of their cooperation. After some discussion, Emo Qingyun and the others left and continued to go to Ma Wangguang's stronghold. After leaving Beixian City, Emo Qingyun frowned slightly and asked Shi Wendy, who was beside him, Abbess, what do you think of King Beixian? Can he be put in an important position? Hearing Emo Qingyun's question, Shi Wendy immediately fell silent and thought about how to answer this question. Sure, Wendy was silent for a while, and his expression became serious, saying, "To be honest, before this, I didn't know much about King Beishian. I just thought that this person was idle and unambitious." At this point, Sure, Wendy's expression tensed up. He changed the topic and said, "But from the contact just now, I realized that I underestimated him. This person is very scheming and doesn't show his emotions on his face. This is a venomous snake in the dark corner. We must be on guard against him." "Yes." After listening to Sure, Wendy's analysis, Mo Qingyun nodded in agreement. Sure, Wendy's analysis of King Beishian could be said to be very accurate. This guy was indeed not simple. Forget it. Let's not pay attention to him. He can't make waves. Mo Qingyun shook his head and stopped thinking about Lord Beishian. He didn't take him seriously. He was not even afraid of the Dark Devil clan, let alone a small King Beishian. If it really didn't work, he would directly kill King Beishian with a strong attitude. On the following journey, Mo Qingyun and the others went straight and cleared out cities along the way. As the cities were cleared out, the Divine Wood Imperial Court finally responded and began to send troops to encircle Mo Qingyun and the others. However, the troops sent by the Divine Wood Imperial Court were too weak. Under the attack of Mo Qingyun and the others, they were almost killed in a crushing manner. In this way, Mo Qingyun and the others spent 3 days and came to a dark territory. This was where Ma Wangguang was stationed. When they arrived at the border of the demon territory, Sure Wendy walked forward and led the way for Mo Qingyun and the others. Not long after, under Sure Wendy's lead, they came to a canyon and shouted, "I, Sure Wendy, am here to pay a visit to Divine General Ma Wangguang." As soon as Sure Wendy said that, a group of armored men and horses flew out of the canyon. Chapter 2691. Welcome, Grand Tutor. Ma Wangguang came out of the canyon and greeted Sure Wendy. Then he knelt down before Wang Zishu and said, "Greetings, Your Highness." "Greetings, Your Highness." Seeing Ma Wangguang bow, the soldiers also knelt down. Seeing everyone's actions, Wang Zishu quickly waved her hand and said, "No need to be so polite. Everyone, please rise." Under Wang Zishu's signal, Ma Wangguang and the others thanked her and stood up one after another. Ma Wangguang stood up and looked at Mo Qingyun. He said, "If I'm not wrong, this should be Mr. Mo. Greetings, Divine General." Seeing that Ma Wangguang recognized him, Mo Qingyun nodded humbly. Ma Wangguang quickly waved his hand at Mo Qingyun's bow and said, "Mr. Mo, no need to be so polite. I have to thank you for protecting Her Highness. Zishu is my family. It's my duty to protect her." Mo Qingyun calmly responded to Ma Wangguang's words. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Wang Zishu's beautiful face immediately brimmed with a sweet smile. From Mo Qingyun's words, she could tell that he approved of her. "Everyone, don't stand outside the canyon. Come in with me." After exchanging some pleasantries with Mo Qingyun and the others, Ma Wangguang beckoned everyone to follow him into the canyon. Then, under Ma Wangguang's lead, everyone entered the canyon together. The canyon was very spacious. At a glance, one could not see the end of it. It was like an independent world. In the canyon, there were many walls built to strengthen the defense of the canyon. After a while, under Ma Wangguang's lead, everyone came to a huge hall. "Your Highness, please have a seat." When Ma Wangguang came to the hall, he bowed to Wang Zishu, showing a respectful attitude. Seeing Ma Wangguang's behavior and recalling Lord Beishuan's actions, Mo Qingyun approved of him a little more. At least on the surface, Ma Wangguang treated Wang Zishu with more respect, as if he was a subject. In response to Ma Wangguang's request, Wang Zishu hesitated for a moment before sitting at the top of the hall. Seeing Wang Zishu sit down, Ma Wangguang sat down beside her and took the initiative to say, "Mr. Mo, I've heard about what happened to you. In that case, does the Divine General have any good suggestions for us to restore our country?" Hearing Ma Wangguang's words, Mo Qingyun used a consulting tone to ask for advice on some tactics. Ma Wenguang had always been in conflict with the divine Wood imperial court, but he was able to hold his ground. It was enough to show his ability. Under Mo Qingyun's questioning, Ma Wenguang's expression turned solemn as he said in a low voice, "Putting everything else aside, your current decapitation operation is extremely unreasonable." Oh! Mo Qingyun's expression froze, and the curiosity on his face grew. He quickly consulted Ma Wenguang and said, "Divine General, please enlighten us so that we can make corrections." Seeing Mo Qingyun's attitude, Ma Wenguang nodded in appreciation and said, "Although the decapitation operation can destroy the cities of the Divine Wood Imperial Court and cause them some panic, this method is not suitable for restoring the country. It can only be used for sneak attacks and assassinations." After listening to Ma Wenguang's analysis, Mo Qingyun and the others nodded in agreement. With the strength of the Divine Wood Imperial Court, even if they lost a few city lords, it would not affect the overall situation. After explaining his thoughts, Ma Wenguang continued, "Therefore, I think that if we want to restore our country, we have to do it step by step, one step at a time, and take control of the territory of the Divine Wood continent little by little." Hearing Ma Wenguang's words, Mo Qingyun frowned and felt a great deal of pressure. He knew that doing so was the safest way, but it was extremely difficult. Not to mention the troops in his hands, he did not have the ability to command. Just as Mo Qingyun was feeling a headache, he looked at Ma Wenguang. If Ma Wenguang were to take action, he would not have to worry about this. At this time, Shi Wendy, who had not spoken until now, said with a serious expression, "Divine General, you don't know. The strength that Wang Xiao and the others control is far more powerful than we imagined. It is very difficult to confront them head-on now." Ma Wenguang seemed to have expected Shi Wendy's worries. A faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, and he said, "Everyone, I have already made preparations for this. Once we withdraw from here, the devils in the demon domain will move out and invade the Divine Wood continent. At that time, with the devils holding back the Divine Wood Imperial Court, the pressure on us will be much less." Hearing Ma Wenguang's words, the eyes of Mo Qingyun and the others lit up. This was a good situation. Knowing Ma Wenguang's thoughts, Mo Qingyun showed an inquiring look again and asked, "According to the Divine General's plan, should we choose a base camp? Where should we set it?" Mr. Mo asked a good question. Ma Wenguang praised Mo Qingyun's question and said, "The demon domain is located in the south of the Divine Wood Imperial Court. In order to avoid friction with the devils, we suggest that the base camp be set up in the Ice Bull Archipelago in the north of the Divine Wood continent." As soon as Ma Wenguang finished speaking, Shi Wendy nodded in agreement and said, "The Ice Bull Archipelago is not far from the Heavenly Bull Divine sect. We can look after each other. This is indeed the most suitable place." After explaining his thoughts, Ma Wenguang revealed a troubled expression. He said, "Although my plan is not bad, there is a huge problem. My troops cannot be moved. Once we leave the infernal domain, we will definitely be surrounded and annihilated by the Divine Wood Imperial Court. I can solve this problem." Mo Qingyun smiled faintly at Ma Wenguang's concern. In his opinion, no matter how many troops Ma Wenguang had, the Fortune mainland could hold them all. The only thing that made him feel helpless was that Ma Wenguang's group would expose the Fortune mainland's secret if they entered. However, in order to help Wang Zishu restore her empire, he couldn't care less. In that case, everyone should rest and reorganize first. After I give some instructions, we will move out. After discussing with Mo Qingyun and the others, Ma Wenguang did not want to delay any further and was ready to deploy his troops immediately. His swift and decisive action was a stark contrast to Pan Yang's earlier behavior. From this point, Mo Qingyun trusted Ma Wenguang even more. This was a loyal person. A short while later, under Ma Wenguang's arrangements, Mo Qingyun and the others settled down in a courtyard. When Mo Qingyun arrived at the courtyard, he did not stay idle, but started to arrange a formation. Although he wanted to move Ma Wenguang and the others to the Fortune mainland, he still wanted to conceal it. Chapter 2692. Although sure Wendy and the others were curious to see Mo Qingyun arranging the array, they did not ask. In their opinion, Mo Qingyun was arranging the array to transfer Ma Wenguang and the others. While Mo Qingyun was arranging the array, Ma Wenguang came by several times to report their progress. During this time, he even asked Mo Qingyun several times if he needed any help. After learning from Mo Qingyun that they did not need any help, he did not ask further. Next, the crowd silently waited for Mo Qingyun to finish setting up the spirit formation. A few days later, under Mo Qingyun's guidance, a grade 4 transmission array was completed. Not long ago, Mo Qingyun had advanced to a grade 4 Saint Array Master based on Ren Jun's comprehension. Who would have thought that Mr. Mo is also a grade 4 Saint Array Master? Ma Wenguang was astounded by Mo Qingyun's attainment in array formations, and his impression of Mo Qingyun rose even higher. He was more than clear about the role of a grade 4 Saint Array Master. Divine General, you can gather everyone and leave through the transmission array. After the transmission array was completed, Mo Qingyun did not want to waste any time and immediately instructed Ma Wenguang. Hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, Ma Wenguang dared not delay and immediately gathered the soldiers to enter the transmission array. Watching the soldiers enter the transmission array, Mo Qingyun connected to the Fortune mainland and transferred the soldiers to the transmission array. In order to prevent the soldiers from wandering around after entering the Fortune mainland, Mo Qingyun said to Ma Wenguang, "Divine General, the Fortune mainland is filled with dangers. Make sure they don't wander around after entering the Fortune mainland. Go in and take care of them." Yes. Hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, Ma Wenguang did not dare to delay and immediately entered the Fortune mainland. After sending Ma Wenguang to the Fortune mainland, Mo Qingyun pondered for a moment before looking at Shi Wendy and the others, saying, "Zishu, you all go in as well. If the Divine General needs anything, arrange it for them." Okay. Hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, Wang Zishu nodded and walked into the teleportation array. Wang Zishu was in charge of the Fortune Immortal Palace and was very familiar with the Fortune mainland. She was the most suitable person to settle everyone down. Subsequently, Mo Qingyun focused on controlling the array formation, sending Ma Wenguang's subordinates to the Fortune mainland. About a day later, under Mo Qingyun's continuous transportation, all of Ma Wenguang's subordinates arrived on the Fortune mainland. After transferring everyone to the Fortune mainland, Mo Qingyun's figure disappeared in a flicker, entering the Fortune mainland. "Mr. Mo, what is this place?" Seeing Mo Qingyun come in, Ma Wenguang was curious and immediately asked Mo Qingyun. Hearing Ma Wenguang's question, Shi Wendy and Yao Yu's faces also revealed intense curiosity. Under everyone's curious gazes, Mo Qingyun pondered for a moment, then said, "I accidentally discovered a low-level continent. I set up a teleportation formation here, so I can come here through the formation. So that's how it is." After listening to Mo Qingyun's words, Ma Wenguang and the others nodded in understanding, not doubting Mo Qingyun's words. In their opinion, since Mo Qingyun brought them here, there was no need to lie to them. "I'll now open up a place. Let your subordinates settle down here." After talking with Ma Wenguang and the others, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and immediately arranged a place for them to settle down. Under Mo Qingyun's actions, a forest was isolated, allowing Ma Wenguang and the others to settle down. "Young Master Mo, your methods have really broadened my horizons." After settling down his subordinates, Ma Wenguang revealed a look of admiration and said emotionally, "If it weren't for the fact that I don't know anything about formations, I would also want to find a low-level continent and refine it into a small world." Hearing Ma Wenguang's words, Shi Wendy immediately nodded, having the same idea. Hearing Ma Wenguang and the others' words, Mo Qingyun's expression changed as he made a major discovery, saying, "Listening to your words, I suddenly thought of something." The Dark Devil race was able to avoid being hunted down by other races, most likely because they controlled some small worlds. Mo Qingyun's words caused Ma Wenguang and the others' hearts to tremble, and a sense of alarm rose in their hearts. The situation must be like this, otherwise, how could the various races not find them when they were searching together? Hearing Mo Qingyun's guess, sure, Wendy nodded in agreement, then took the Fortune mainland as an example, saying, "Mr. Mo, for example, this mainland of yours, if we all hide here, no matter how powerful the divine Wood Imperial Court is, they won't be able to find our whereabouts in the vast space. It seems that if we want to completely exterminate the Dark Devil race, we have to destroy their small worlds." At this moment, Mo Qingyun had a new direction for his plan to exterminate the Dark Devil race. After chatting with everyone for a while, Mo Qingyun did not want to waste any more time. He immediately said to everyone, "Everyone, since the soldiers have been settled, we should set off. Although the decapitation plan is not very useful, it can still cause some trouble for the divine Wood Imperial Court." That's right. Hearing Mo Qingyun's idea, sure, Wendy nodded, saying, "Causing trouble for the divine Wood Imperial Court will reduce the pressure on us. This plan must continue." That's right. Killing some of the city's leaders and the Dark Devil race's invasion will also cause trouble for the divine Wood Imperial Court. Ma Wenguang thought for a moment and felt relieved. Thus he agreed with the beheading plan. Then, Mo Qingyun led the group away from the Fortune mainland. Coming out from the Fortune mainland, Ma Wenguang looked at the canyon in front of him and said, "Since we're leaving, there's no need for this place to exist." As Ma Wenguang's words fell, he detonated the city's formation, destroying the city. As the city was destroyed, the Dark Devil race's army that had been obstructed by the city immediately rushed over. Asterisk roar, roar, roar. Asterisk a series of loud roars sounded. Following these roars, Mo Qingyun saw a black mass of the Dark Devil race's army rushing towards them. Those are all low-level Dark Devil race. They have no intelligence, just like killing machines. Looking at the black mass of the Dark Devil race's army, Ma Wenguang's face turned solemn as he introduced them to Mo Qingyun, saying, "Let's go, lest we get surrounded by the Dark Devil race's army and cause some unnecessary trouble." All right. Hearing Ma Wenguang's words, Mo Qingyun nodded and summoned the Black Devil flying ship. After the Black Devil flying ship was summoned, Mo Qingyun led the group towards the Ice Bowl archipelago. Divine General, you're familiar with the Ice Bowl archipelago's location. Empty the flying ship. While controlling the flying ship, Mo Qingyun thought for a while and handed the flying ship to Ma Wenguang. Ma Wenguang did not think much about Mo Qingyun's arrangement and directly took the Black Devil flying ship. "Gentlemen, if you encounter someone you can't deal with, use this to contact me." Mo Qingyun took out a jade slip and handed it to Ma Wenguang, then walked into the cultivation room. Not long after Mo Qingyun entered the cultivation room, Yao Yu also entered the cultivation room, leaving Sure Wendy and Ma Wenguang alone. The two of them did not care about this and continued to catch up as they hurried on their way. Her Highness is so lucky to have met Mr. Mo. Yes, if she hadn't met Mr. Mo, even if we joined forces, it would have been difficult to help her restore her kingdom. Wang Xiao and the others are powerful. We can't be careless. We still have to be careful. On the way, Sure Wendy and Yao Yu chatted. In the cultivation room, Mo Qingyun sat cross-legged on the ground with a solemn expression and said, "I've finished cultivating the second stage of the Nine-Bull Divine Sword Technique. Now it's time to cultivate the third stage. If I cultivate the third stage, my strength will definitely increase greatly." With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and immediately comprehended the third stage of the Nine-Direction Godly Bull Sword Technique. Under Mo Qingyun's observation, he clearly understood the third stage of the Nine-Direction Godly Bull Sword Technique. Just as he had guessed, the Nine Directions Divine Bull Sword Technique was a refining technique to refine a powerful weapon. What made Mo Qingyun feel regretful was that with his current cultivation, he could not cultivate the third stage of the nine-direction godly bull sword technique. If he wanted to cultivate the third stage of the nine-direction godly bull sword technique, he had to be in the universe realm. It seems that I have to break through to the universe realm as soon as possible. Mo Qingyun sighed in his heart. He had a plan and thought, although I can't cultivate the third stage of the nine-direction godly bull sword technique, I can start collecting the materials to refine the nine-bull divine sword. The difficulty of refining the nine-bull divine sword and activating the third ability was clearly much higher. This time, he needed a total of 4 items. They were the cosmic light source, the primordial spirit, the star nest source, and the universe disk. The primordial spirit isn't difficult to obtain, but the other 3 are troublesome. When Mo Qingyun saw the 4 items he needed, he frowned. He felt a great sense of difficulty. He didn't even know what the cosmic light source was, let alone find it. He knew what the star nest source was. It was the Genesis chi born from a planet. The difficulty of finding it was no less than finding the star nest fire. Compared to the star nest source, the last item was much more difficult to find. The universe disk was formed from the great Tao comprehensions of a quasi-sector lord. Its rarity was obvious. It seems that I have to take it slow. When he saw the 4 items he needed, Mo Qingyun couldn't help but sigh and say, with our current cultivation, we're still unable to cultivate the third level of the 9-oxen sword technique, so there's no need to rush to collect them. Mo Qingyun muttered to himself. With a flicker of his figure, he entered the Fortune mainland. Although I can't cultivate the 9 bulls divine bull sword technique, I can hunt for grand mist spirits and refine them to raise my cultivation. After Mo Qingyun entered the Fortune continent, he arrived at the primordial misty and snuck in to hunt the primordial spirit. Mo Qingyun swam for a while and arrived at the place where he had set up the array last time. However, the array was already destroyed. From the looks of it, some primordial spirit had mistakenly entered the array during this period of time. However, without Mo Qingyun guarding it, the array was quickly destroyed. Chapter 2693. Mo Qingyun's current array formation attainments had already reached the level of a level 4 sacred array master. Therefore, it wasn't too difficult for him to repair this array formation. In just a few hours, Mo Qingyun managed to repair the damaged combined sacred array. After repairing the array formation, Mo Qingyun sat in a lotus position within the array formation and waited for the Hongmeng spirit to enter the array formation. Time passed little by little as Mo Qingyun waited. After a few hours, a faint fluctuation of array formation power was emitted from the array formation. Mo Qingyun was stunned when he sensed this fluctuation of array formation power. He knew that something had entered the array formation. Then, he released his soul power and sensed the array formation. Through Mo Qingyun's probing, he discovered that a primordial spirit in the form of a river eel had entered the array formation. Peak celestial domain grade. Mo Qingyun scanned the river eel with his soul power and sensed the strength of the eel's Hongmeng spirit. Mo Qingyun smiled faintly when he found out the cultivation base of the river eel's Hongmeng spirit. A Hongmeng spirit of this level was what he needed the most at the moment. After all, he couldn't grasp the universe grade yet. Beginner and intermediate celestial domain grade spirits wouldn't be of much help to his cultivation. Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate any longer and immediately attacked the river eel's Hongmeng spirit. Spatial compression. A wave of spatial compression law emanated from Mo Qingyun's body and pressed down on the river eel's Hongmeng spirit. The river eel's Hongmeng spirit's mobility was greatly restricted when it was pressed down by the spatial compression law. After restricting the river eel's mobility, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate any longer and slashed at it with his sword. A sword light streaked across the sky and struck the river eel's Hongmeng spirit in an instant, splitting it into 2. Retrieve. After killing the river eel's Hongmeng spirit, Mo Qingyun raised his hand and took it back. Then, Mo Qingyun started refining it to improve his cultivation base. If he wanted to cultivate the third layer of the 9 directions godly bull sword technique, he had to increase his cultivation as soon as possible. More importantly, if he wanted to fight against the dark demon race, he needed more power. Otherwise, some people with the power of the planning law would have been able to take care of him easily. Dark swallowing heaven gate. After collecting the river eel's primordial spirit, Mo Qingyun used his divine ability to devour and refine it. Under Mo Qingyun's refinement, a stream of pure primordial energy entered his body. Sensing the primordial energy in his body, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate and immediately refined it. To Mo Qingyun's surprise, when he was refining this primordial energy, a terrifying lightning energy suddenly appeared. The power of thunder and lightning struck Mo Qingyun's body crazily as soon as it appeared, tempering his body. I didn't expect that the river eel's primordial spirit's power would have such an effect. Discovering the situation in his body, Mo Qingyun's face lit up with joy as he made a bold guess. If that's the case, does the power of other primordial spirits also have other effects? Mo Qingyun's heart was filled with anticipation as he thought about it. He decided to study it carefully. Mo Qingyun pondered for a while before he collected his thoughts and immediately immersed himself in cultivation. As time passed, the aura emitted by Mo Qingyun became stronger and stronger. Not only that, but under the electric shock of the lightning energy, Mo Qingyun's physique also became stronger. Mo Qingyun was overjoyed when such a situation occurred, and he worked even harder to cultivate. In the following days, Mo Qingyun immersed himself in cultivation. Perhaps they were afraid of disturbing Mo Qingyun's cultivation. So sure Wendy and Mo Qingyun did not ask for his help along the way. Of course, with their strength, there were not many people that they could not defeat. In the blink of an eye, 6 days passed. After 6 days of continuous cultivation, Mo Qingyun's physique had improved to an extreme level. If this trend continues, I'll be able to break through after refining another river eel's primordial spirit. Sensing his situation, Mo Qingyun was filled with anticipation as he waited for the arrival of another river eel's primordial spirit. At this moment, a weak soul fluctuation appeared in his mind. The Grand Preceptor and Grand Preceptor are in trouble. It seems that they can't continue cultivating. After receiving Sure, Wendy, and Mo Qingyun's request for help, Mo Qingyun immediately swam to the seaside to help them. After a while, he left the primordial fog sea and returned to the cabin in a flash. What kind of trouble did they encounter? When Mo Qingyun returned to the cabin, he came to Sure, Wendy, and Mo Qingyun's side and asked about their situation. Hearing Mo Qingyun's inquiry, Sure, Wendy, and Mo Qingyun's expressions tensed up. They pointed to a group of islands in front of them and said, "The Ice Bull Archipelago is up ahead. It's just that the Ice Bull Archipelago is now occupied by a mysterious force." Hearing this news, Mo Qingyun's expression froze. This was going to be troublesome. Following the direction Ma Wangguang pointed, Mo Qingyun saw a sect standing on an island. When Mo Qingyun saw the sect clearly, his expression shook as he felt a sense of familiarity. The Lonely Soul Sect. After a brief moment of surprise, Mo Qingyun recognized it and said in surprise, "I didn't expect them to establish a branch on the Divine Wood Continent. It seems that destroying the Divine Wood Imperial Court is more difficult than I imagined." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Ma Wangguang was surprised and asked, "Mr. Mo, you know of this sect?" "That's right." Hearing Ma Wangguang's question, Mo Qingyun nodded and said, "I once told the Grand Tutor that there was a branch of the Dark Demon race on the battlefield between the Wood Source Galaxy and the Blood Soul Galaxy. That branch is the Lonely Soul Sect, which is of the same origin as this sect. A branch of the Dark Demon race." Knowing the origin of this sect, Ma Wangguang and Mo Qingyun were shocked and their expressions tensed up. With their current strength, they still had some confidence in dealing with Wang Xiao and the others. However, if they were to deal with the dark demon race, they had no confidence at all. They did not even dare to resist. It cannot be helped. The gap between the two was too big. They were not on the same level at all. Looking at the dignified expressions of Shi Wendy and Mo Qingyun frowned and continued. Although I know it's the Lonely Soul sect, I'm not sure if this Lonely Soul sect in front of us is the same one from the galactic battlefield. This sect is not weak. They have a total of 3 universe realm powerhouses. With the strength of the 3 of us, we can barely deal with them, but I'm afraid they have reinforcements. They definitely have reinforcements. Once they are attacked, Wang Xiao and the others will definitely come to help. Thinking about dealing with the Lonely Soul sect, Ma Wenguang and Mo Qingyun's expressions tensed up and they voiced some of their concerns. Hearing Ma Wenguang and Mo Qingyun's words, Mo Qingyun's face turned cold and said, "So, what we need to do now is to kill them all as quickly as possible before their reinforcements arrive." Is that possible? Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Ma Wenguang's expression tensed up. He did not have much confidence. In his opinion, it was too difficult to kill a universe realm powerhouse. Compared to Ma Wenguang's surprise, Shi Wendy was much more indifferent. After all, he had seen Mo Qingyun in action. At this moment, while Mo Qingyun and the other 2 were talking, an astonishing wave of saint power came from the cabin. When this wave of saint energy appeared, an astonishing spatial law was also emitted. Sensing the situation in the cabin, the 3 immediately showed joy. They knew what had happened. If they were not mistaken, Yao Yu's cultivation should have broken through and advanced to the universe realm. Yao Yu's cultivation had advanced to the universe realm. This was undoubtedly excellent news for them. What we want really comes true. Miss Yao Yu's cultivation breakthrough will be a great help to us. Seeing Yao Yu's cultivation breakthrough, Shi Wendy and Mo Qingyun's faces were filled with joy and excitement. Compared to the 2 surprise, Mo Qingyun's mood was very calm. In his opinion, compared to Yao Yu's space law, her bloodline superpower was more powerful. Therefore, the difference between her and the universe realm was not particularly big. In that case, let's wait for Yao Yu to stabilize her cultivation. Seeing Yao Yu's cultivation breakthrough, Mo Qingyun was not in a hurry to act. He wanted to wait for Yao Yu to stabilize her cultivation. They waited for 3 days. In these 3 days, Mo Qingyun's group of 3 had attacked several times, intercepting and killing several solitary soul sect disciples. They had obtained some blood essence from the disciples of the solitary soul sect. The blood of hundreds of thousands of people. The dark demon race is indeed inhumane. Looking at the blood he had obtained, Ma Wenguang's expression darkened. He angrily said, "Just one branch collected the blood of hundreds of thousands or even millions of people. One can only imagine how much the dark devil race collected. No wonder they provoked public anger and everyone wanted to exterminate them." In response to Ma Wenguang's anger, Shi Wendy's face also darkened. He exuded an intense chill as he said, "It was precisely because the late emperor was unwilling to cooperate that he fell into the trap of the dark devil race and was killed by Wang Xiao and the others. Wang Xiao, that bunch of bastards, they're actually helping the evildoers, helping the dark devil race collect blood." Speaking of the dark demon race's atrocities, Ma Wenguang and Mo Qingyun's faces were filled with disdain and anger. Clearly, they were very dissatisfied with Wang Xiao's actions. Mo Qingyun did not pay attention to Ma Wenguang and Mo Qingyun's expressions. He was silently watching Yao Yu. At this moment, under Mo Qingyun's gaze, Yao Yu's cultivation stabilized. Shortly after, she walked out of the cultivation room and smiled sweetly at Mo Qingyun. "I've broken through to the universe realm, so I can help you better." "Okay." In response to Yao Yu's words, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and nodded. He said, "We have not made a move yet because we were waiting for your strength. Do not be lazy later." "I don't believe you." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Yao Yu made a funny face and looked cute. After chatting with Yao Yu for a while, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated. He flew towards the Lonely Soul sect and said, "Let's go. We'll try to destroy the Lonely Soul sect as quickly as possible." Chapter 2694. Break. Mo Qingyun's figure appeared above the Lonely Soul sect in a flash and slashed downwards with his sword. Mo Qingyun's sword slashed out a purple sword light that blasted into the Lonely Soul sect. Boom! The purple sword light blasted into the Lonely Soul sect, causing a loud explosion and turning the Lonely Soul sect into ruins. Then, the disciples of the Lonely Soul sect were alerted and immediately flew towards the four of them. In a short while, Mo Qingyun and the other three were surrounded and looked at with hostility. "It's you again, kid." One of the universe grade from the Lonely Soul sect glanced at Mo Qingyun with a dark expression. "You snuck into my sect during the galaxy battlefield previously. How could I care about an ant like you? I didn't expect you to come and cause trouble again." "Elder Zijiang, do you know this kid?" The other two elders of the Lonely Soul sect immediately asked when they heard what Zijiang had said. They had clearly not expected that someone of Elder Zijiang's status would actually know a celestial domain grade junior. "He's just a sneaky ant," Zijiang replied disdainfully. His expression turned cold as he said, "Last time, I had important matters to attend to and didn't have the time to deal with him. This time, it's different." Zijiang released an imposing aura that crushed down on Mo Qingyun after he said that. Mo Qingyun didn't move an inch in the face of Zijiang's oppressive aura. He just stood there calmly. "Oh, you were actually able to resist my imposing aura? You are quite capable." Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, Zigon's expression changed slightly. Shock appeared in his eyes. He said, "Elder Qi Ming, Elder Yin's son, leave this kid to me. You two lead the other disciples to deal with the remaining three." "All right." The other two universe grades attacked Ma Wenguang and the other two after hearing Zijiang's words. In just a short moment, a great battle broke out. While Shi Wendy and the others were fighting, Zigon revealed a cold smile. He looked at Mo Qingyun and said, "Kid, this old man admits that you are very capable. Last time in the Galactic Battlefield branch, you actually escaped from my perception. But this time, you won't be able to escape." After Zigon finished speaking, he extended his palm and pressed it towards Mo Qingyun. Great heavenly spirit, God-suppressing palm. Zigon struck out with his palm, and a terrifying burst of saint power erupted, transforming into a giant palm. Then, the palm pressed down on Mo Qingyun like a huge mountain. Petty tricks. Facing Zigon's palm, Mo Qingyun didn't mind it at all. He smiled and swung the 9-oxen divine sword. Mo Qingyun brandished the 9-oxen divine sword and immediately slashed out a sword aura, which tyrannically met the giant palm head-on. Pucci. Under the bombardment of the sword aura, the giant palm was directly cut in half and rapidly dissipated in midair. After obtaining the space overlap law, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate and immediately used it on Zigon and the other two. This time, he didn't use the space overlap law to hurt the three of them. He just wanted to see its power. Under the power of the space overlap law, Zigon and the other two's positions immediately changed. Then, the three of them seemed to have become transparent. Seeing this scene, Mo Qingyun's heart moved, and he gained a deeper understanding of the space overlap law. Space overlap law was to fold the surrounding space and form a multi-dimensional layer. This isn't an attack law, but a powerful assistance law. Mo Qingyun thought about it, and his understanding of space overlap increased greatly. He thought to himself, in my current situation, obtaining the space overlap law is the best situation. Under the space overlap law, Zigon and the other two's strength would be weakened to the minimum. Sword energy, nebulous saint garment, thunderfire dragon, sacred body. After increasing his defensive power, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate and immediately rushed towards Zigon and the other two. Mo Qingyun's figure flashed, and he appeared in the middle of the three and attacked them. Facing Mo Qingyun's attack, Zigan and the other two didn't dare to be careless and immediately dodged Mo Qingyun's attack. Space imprisonment, space compression, space penetration. While Zigan and the other two were dodging, they didn't show any weakness and counterattacked. Facing the three's space law attack, Mo Qingyun immediately waved the nine-bull divine sword and slashed the space in front of him. Then, his figure moved and dodged the three's space law attack. Bang, bang, bang. When Mo Qingyun dodged the attack, the space around Zigan and the other two quickly collapsed. Then, Zigan and the other two gathered together and continued to attack Mo Qingyun. Facing Zigan and the other two's attack, Mo Qingyun wasn't afraid at all and took the initiative to meet them. He said, "I wasn't familiar with the space overlap, so the three of you could take advantage of me. Now it's different." Without the support of the law, Mo Qingyun wasn't afraid of their attack in a head-on confrontation. Space overlap. Taking the three's Saint energy attack head-on, Mo Qingyun slapped them with his palm and blasted out another wave of space law. Then, Zigan and the other two's bodies swayed and were separated into 3 layers of space again. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed, and he took the initiative to attack In-sun. This guy controlled the space penetration law and could defeat the space overlap law. Leaving him alive would be a huge problem. As long as he killed him, it would be much easier to deal with Zigan and Qiming. Defense ignore. Poisonous bull abdominal water sword. Mo Qingyun came in front of Qiming. He waved the divine 9-bull sword wildly and slashed out streaks of purple sword light. He said, "I didn't expect that this is Mr. Mo's true battle strength. His strength is already comparable to the mid-stage of the universe realm. No wonder Princess Zishu is safe and sound under his protection. This battle strength is really frightening." Seeing Mo Qingyun's strength, Ma Wenguang's expression was emotional. He said with emotion, "This way, when we face Wang Xiao and the others, we will have more confidence. His strength is even stronger than before. His speed of improvement is too fast." Yao Yu had fought side by side with Mo Qingyun before, so she was very clear about Mo Qingyun's strength in her heart. The strength that Mo Qingyun displayed this time was obviously stronger than before. Seeing Mo Qingyun's improvement, Yao Yu felt a little shocked. Originally, she had thought that after her cultivation had broken through to the universe realm, the gap between her and Mo Qingyun would shrink. Unexpectedly, even after her cultivation had broken through, the gap between her and Mo Qingyun was getting bigger and bigger. Yao Yu was absent-minded for a moment. She stopped thinking about it and helped Wendy kill the lonely soul sex disciples. Under the joint attack of Yao Yu and the other two, the lonely soul sex disciples were in a situation where they were being slaughtered. In a short period of time, nearly half of the thousands of lonely soul sex disciples had been killed. Seeing that nearly half of the lonely soul sex disciples had been killed, Mo Qingyun's lips curled into a faint smile. He sneered at In-sun and said, "Nearly half of your disciples have been killed. What's the point of you living? Go accompany them in peace." "Brat, you gone too far. Even if I'm going to die, I'll drag you down with me." Under Mo Qingyun's aggressiveness, In-sun exploded this time. He was no longer willing to endure. In-sun roared angrily. He ignited the blood in his body and forcibly increased his strength. As his bloodline was ignited, a mysterious power was born from his body. This power seems to be somewhat similar to Zi Wang's, but it's even stronger than Zi Wang's. Sensing the power in In-sun's body, Mo Qingyun's expression was one of shock. After a brief moment of shock, Mo Qingyun's expression tensed up and he pulled away from In-sun. Although he didn't know what kind of power it was, he was certain that it was stronger than the law of space. "Brat, I'll let you experience the power of the Archean era." In-sun roared. He clenched his left fist and punched at Mo Qingyun. Archean world, extinguishing fist. When In Sun punched out, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Space shattered one after another. The power of this punch had completely exceeded Mo Qingyun's understanding. This wasn't the power of a universe realm expert. So strong. Seeing the power of In Sun's punch, Mo Qingyun's expression trembled. He couldn't help but feel a sense of fear. Immediately, Mo Qingyun didn't dare hesitate and immediately slashed at the fist light. Space overlapped. Under Mo Qingyun's sword, the space in front of him immediately began to wrinkle. Then, In Sun's punch and the space in front of him staggered. It's useless. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, In Sun sneered, as if he had expected Mo Qingyun to do this. As soon as In Sun's words fell, a terrifying explosion came from the space in front of Mo Qingyun. Then, a terrifying storm of power swept towards Mo Qingyun. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun didn't dare to be careless and hurriedly slashed forward. Space splitter. Mo Qingyun's sword slashed out, and the space in front of him was immediately shattered. As the space was shattered, the terrifying storm of power was swallowed into the space crack. Because of this, In Sun's punch was neutralized by Mo Qingyun. What a strong power! This level of power has completely surpassed Saint power. Seeing the power of In Sun's punch, Mo Qingyun stopped being careless. This guy was harder to deal with than he had imagined. While Mo Qingyun was shocked, he was also curious. He guessed, if I'm not wrong, In Sun's ability to use this power should be related to his bloodline ignition. If that's the case, there must be some kind of restriction on him being able to use this power. With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun felt much more relaxed. Otherwise, if In Sun continued to use this power, there would be no need to continue fighting. Under this kind of attack, even Mo Qingyun's methods would be overbearingly smashed to pieces by him. Break. After repelling Mo Qingyun with a punch, In Sun punched out and broke the space around Zigon. Then, Zigon and Zigon flew towards In Sun and quickly came to his side. They said, "This guy is very strange. We can't continue fighting with him. Let's go back first." "No, this guy forced me to ignite my bloodline ignition. I must kill him to vent my anger." In Sun immediately rejected Zigon and Zigon's advice. He stared at Mo Qingyun with a sinister gaze. Hearing In Sun's words, Zigon and Zigon exchanged a look and did not say anything else. They could understand In Sun's feelings. In Sun had ignited his bloodline ignition. From now on, he would have no bloodline ignition and his strength would be greatly reduced. Although he would still be a universe realm expert, he could only be one for the rest of his life. "You two help me to restrict that guy's movements. I want to blast him into pieces." Looking at Zigon and Zigon, In Sun said angrily. He then flew towards Mo Qingyun. Hearing In Sun's words, Zigon and Zigon nodded and followed beside him. Space compression. Seeing In Sun attack, Qi Ming used space compression to shorten the distance between Mo Qingyun and In Sun. Under the power of space compression, In Sun's figure moved and arrived in front of Mo Qingyun. Space imprisonment. "It's good to go out for a walk. When are we leaving?" Hearing Huang Gang's question, Mo Qingyun did not hold back and directly said, "Time is of the essence now. Of course, the sooner the better." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Guangping looked at Huang Gang and the others and said, "If that's the case, Supreme Elder Huang Gang, please issue a decree and gather some disciples to head to the Ice Bowl Archipelago." "All right, I'll do it right away." After Huang Gang said those words, he left the discussion hall. After giving Huang Gang some instructions, Guangping looked at Mo Qingyun and said, Qingyun, when you're building the stronghold, the Divine Wood Imperial Court will probably cause trouble. Can you send some disciples as reinforcements? There's no need. Mo Qingyun directly rejected Guangping's inquiry. He said, if the Divine Wood Imperial Court wants to cause trouble, they will definitely not send ordinary soldiers. Therefore, it's meaningless for ordinary disciples to go. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Guangping said more and agreed with him. After talking about the construction of the stronghold, Mo Qingyun changed the topic and reminded Guangping of the Divine Wood Imperial Court's revenge. He had caused a huge commotion this time. Wouldn't Wang Xiao and the others be furious and vent their anger on the Heavenly Bull Divine sect? Not long after, while Mo Qingyun and the others were talking, Huang Gang came with a group of people and said, Qingyun, we're ready. When do we set off? In that case, let's set off immediately. Hearing Huang Gang's question, Mo Qingyun did not want to delay and immediately set off with everyone. After leaving the Heavenly Bull Divine sect, Mo Qingyun controlled the Black Demon flying ship and rushed towards the Ice Bull archipelago. On the way, Mo Qingyun told Huang Gang some of the situation at the Ice Bull archipelago. After listening to Mo Qingyun's explanation, Huang Gang had a rough idea of how to set up a defensive formation. Immediately, Huang Gang instructed the disciples to prepare some materials for setting up the formation. Not long after, the materials were engraved with profound formation runes. At this moment, the principle of strength in numbers was fully demonstrated. Several hours quickly passed. In just a few hours of traveling, many of the materials were engraved with formation runes. In this way, it would save a lot of time when it was time to set up the formation. After several hours of traveling, everyone arrived at the Ice Bull archipelago. As soon as the Black Demon flying ship arrived, Wendy and Huang Gang rushed over and told Mo Qingyun about the situation. In that case, let's go and take a look. After knowing that Wendy and Huang Gang had chosen an island, Mo Qingyun did not want to delay and prepare to take a look at the island. Immediately, Mo Qingyun and the others went to the island to check out the terrain of the island.